What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. Celestial Dragon Infinite summons 1 CD1 starting from being woken up by albedo, please collect, flowers, evaluation votes. Advertisement, Lord Ivanlows, you're awake, well, albedo, have you been awake for a long time? Open your eyes, this is the time to wake up from the dream. After regaining his consciousness a little, Ivan calmed down and then said to the beautiful woman in front of him. Yes, as long as I see Master Ivan's charming face, I can better replenish my physical strength. As long as you like it. After hearing the gentle and happy words in front of him, Ivan complained a little helplessly, and then slowly stood up. Master Ivan, let me help you, I can just wear it myself. Please allow me to do what I can as much as possible. All right. After hearing the words of the Qianying who also stood up in front of him, Ivan felt a little bit dumbfounded again, and then looked at her silently, letting her help with a look of happiness and expectation. The woman in front of her has shiny black hair that reaches her waist. She has a slight smile on her face. She wears a necklace that emits golden light, like a spider web, covering her shoulders. Her slender hands are covered with silk that emits light, glossy gloves. Overall, she looks like a stunning beauty mixed with an angel and a devil, with a holy and charming beauty. It's just that the irises emitting golden light, the upright oval pupils, 2 goat-like curly hairs growing on the side of the head, and black angel wings can be seen on the waist. These seem to indicate the woman's special identity. In fact, she is indeed not human. This girl's name is Albedo, and she is a demon, a pure white demon. Just by hearing this name, you will know that she is the heroine of Overlord, the manager of the great underground tomb of Nazarick, and the Bone King's #1 true love fan and main palace. But here, the object of admiration was changed to him. His name is Ivan Los Astoria, his original name is Ivan, and he is a time traveler. 20 years ago, he traveled to the world of One Piece, and became the Celestial Dragons, with supreme power. But for a former otaku who was later oppressed by reality, this was naturally the best thing. For the past 20 years, he has been conscientiously enjoying a luxurious life, living a small life like this. Advertisement. Oh, of course it doesn't go as far as bullying slaves and wearing hoods. He is disgusted by that kind of thing and feels stupid. Congratulations on successfully traveling through 20 years and successfully opening the Wenji Mall system. Points can be exchanged for props, abilities, bloodlines, etc. 1 point is equal to 1 caddy of gold. About 3 million Baileys, or other more valuable items can be used exchange. Close black lens bracket. You can summon a character from other anime worlds every month. Each summon requires 100 points. The loyalty of the summoned character to you is 100, which will never decrease, and will never do anything to hurt or betray you. Close black lens bracket. There is currently a free summoning opportunity. Would you like to start random summoning? The summoning is successful. Congratulations on successfully summoning Albedo, from Overlord. But just 2 months ago, when he turned 20, Sheet suddenly woke up. Lord Ivan, I will be your personal butler from now on. So when this little girl looked at him with admiration, even Ivan, who was used to the life of celestial dragons, couldn't help but be a little dumbfounded. Of course, I'm getting used to it now. Okay, Lord Ivan is still as handsome as usual. After helping him sort out his clothes, Albedo also had a satisfied smile on her face. But she did not leave, but stared straight at Ivan, her eyes full of expectation, and she slightly licked her red and soft lips. After Ivan looked at it, he smiled and leaned his face over, planning to kiss him. Allah Allah, you two arrived early and have already started making out, you are too anxious. X2 But at this moment, a gentle but ridiculing voice suddenly came from the direction of the door. I saw a girl with black hair in a bun, tied with a colorful bow at the back, and wearing a butterfly, like feather fabric, standing at the door and looking at them with a chuckle. Tisk. When he saw her, Albedo's face showed obvious dissatisfaction, which also gave Ivan a headache. Breakfast is already ready, my lord, I know, Shinobu. You two don't have to stare at each other anymore. Alas, there is something wrong with the summoning. Now he only thinks about living a luxurious life and being able to get along intimately with his lovely 2-dimensional wives. Why do they always quarrel? 2 exclusive Chef Butterfly Ninja, please collect, flowers, and evaluation votes. Advertisement Mariejoy, the mansion of the Astria family. In the magnificent and spacious hall, a row of beautiful maids stood neatly. In front of them is a long white square table, which looks like they are dining. It's just that unlike those traditional Western dining methods, the food is not placed in front of the diner bit by bit, but is divided into 7 or 8 plates and then concentrated in front of him. Next to him, there were 2 women with excellent appearance and temperament serving beside him. Enjoying such a life of being surrounded by people, you must have no worries. Master Ivan, Try this. Okay. Lord, come and taste this of mine. Oh well. Wait a minute. Mr. Ivan wants to finish mine first, and then eat yours, so don't disturb the situation, okay? Ah, I obviously made everything here, but Miss Albedo seems a little ungrateful. Who wants the things you made? If Lord Ivan didn't like it, I would have thrown these things into the trash can. Allah Allah, as expected of a devil, he is indeed an existence that disgusts people when he comes close. My lord must have endured you for so long, it must have been very painful, it makes people feel bad. Okay. You two have been arguing all day long. Let's calm down for a while. We will go out for a walk later. Is there anywhere you want to go? That's not necessarily the case. After hearing the escalating scolding of the two beauties next to him, the man who was dining, Ivan, saw the right moment and stopped him in time, and changed the topic. At this time, both of them snorted coldly at the same time, and then turned their faces away at the same time, making him helplessly shake his head. Alas, these two people are really impossible to deal with. If I had known better, I would have added some summoning conditions. His summoning function can fix many conditions, such as gender, which anime it comes from, importance, combat level, etc., and can even be directly precise to a certain character. Of course, if there are additional conditions, it will cost a little more. Each condition is at least 10 points, so he generally has no requirements except gender. However, he still felt a little headache for the two beauties he summoned now. There are two people beside him, one is Albedo, and the other girl with a bright smile is called Butterfly Ninja, which is the insect pillar from Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. Advertisement. Well, even though she is very beautiful and gentle, he likes her very much. But it is conceivable that the views and positions of these two people are absolutely different. Albedo is a demon, and she hates humans very much. As for Shinobu, she hates ghosts very much. In this world without ghosts, demons like Albedo naturally become the existence she hates the most. So since he summoned Shinobi almost a month ago, the two people have been bickering and never stopped. Fortunately, they only used words and never took action, otherwise it would be even more chaotic. As long as I am with Lord Ivan, I will follow you wherever you are. Albedo answered with a relaxed expression, without any hesitation. She knows her existence, but to her, Lord Ivan is the one who created her, the great and only, supreme. Therefore, as long as you stay with Master Ivan, you will be the supreme happiness. Master, can you go to the slave auction house? I heard there is an auction today. But Shinobi on the side said this somewhat incomprehensible words with some solemnity at this time. After all, with her identity and personality, she probably wouldn't like to go to a place like this. Well, let's buy everything we can buy then. But Ivan nodded clearly and gave her a satisfactory answer. After hearing Ivan's words, a bright smile appeared on Shinobu's face again, and then he moved his body closer to Ivan, and gently held his arm. Well, although she was summoned and was not the original butterfly ninja, she still had her own consciousness after all and was not an emotionless tool. If her lord is a scumbag like other celestial dragons, then she would rather commit suicide than protect such a person. But on the contrary, not only is he not, he is also a very gentle person. Many of the maids and guards here are also slaves bought by him, but they have no slave marks and have not been beaten. On the contrary, they are fed well, clothed warmly, and taught etiquette and fighting. After working for 3 years, they can leave on their own, and they will even be paid. Therefore, most of the slaves so far will choose to stay and follow him wholeheartedly. This is also the main reason why Ren has gradually fallen in love with Ivan over the past month. What's more, he also said something to her who had just been summoned and was at a loss, and only knew how to practice swordsmanship, which she still remembers. I know it's impossible to make you put down your sword, but you are a girl after all, and you should learn to enjoy life. Cooking is the only thing I know that can make you happy while holding a sword. I think you can try learning to cook. Therefore, I will have to practice my cooking skills more in the future. 3 Celestial Dragons Trip. Please ask for favorites, flowers, and evaluation votes. Advertisement. Sabodi Archipelago, Area 1. People who were going about their daily activities, after seeing several large bubble cars in a square formation not far away, heading towards them, began to move towards the open-top bubble car in the middle in a uniform manner. A handsome young man in the car bowed. The Celestial Dragons are coming. Yes, it's St. Ivanlow's. Hurry up and bow. Don't move, Mom. Didn't you say you have to kneel down when you see Celestial Dragons? Why don't you kneel down when you see this person? Ivanhoe's Saint is a unique Celestial Dragons. He never likes those red tapes. Because of this, we must respect him even more, you know? Oh, after hearing what her mother said, the little girl straightened her body nervously, but she still quietly looked at the handsome young man on the bubble car. It turns out that the hood of Celestial Dragons is not grown on the head. She had seen many Celestial Dragons before. Those people all wore hoods on their heads, and they also had strong slaves riding on their feet, but why was this person riding a bubble car? Although, that bubble car looks very luxurious and makes people envious. And the two sisters next to her are really beautiful and elegant. It would be great if she could be like this in the future. These people are really becoming less and less awe-inspiring. They obviously kneel on the ground when they see other celestial dragons, but they just bow when they see Lord Ivan. I really want to kill them all. Of course, if this girl heard the angel, like elder sister saying these words with a gentle face, she probably wouldn't dare to think so. This is what the Lord asked for. I think this way can better show the Lord's heart. Isn't this better? Please don't be so superficial, Miss Albedo. It's so stupid. Lord Ivan doesn't mind. That's his magnanimity, but it doesn't mean these people can go beyond it. Doesn't this seem to make the status of those trash celestial dragons higher than Lord Ivan? Although Miss Albedo's mouth has always been annoying, this sentence actually makes sense. Isn't your mouth also very annoying? Well. Okay. Do you have to quarrel wherever you go? If you continue to quarrel, you will have a fight. X2 you've already hit. After feeling the subtle arousal coming from behind, the two of them swayed slightly, but said nothing more or looked at each other again. Advertisement, but the two elegant and gentle faces also had a slightly unnatural red glow. There were only 3 people sitting in their car, and at this angle, outsiders couldn't see it, which was better. But this kind of behavior still makes them, as girls, feel a little uncomfortable and irritated. Even though, not bad either, and Ivan himself also had a somewhat happy expression on his face. Although the two bickered, they both behaved honestly and gracefully outside. In Albedo's words, His Majesty cannot be insulted, so he must behave perfectly and appropriately. But the ostentation must not be too small, and a group of people should still follow it, which made him a little speechless. To be honest, he himself didn't want so many people following him, just a few maids would be enough. But Albedo didn't listen at all and brought out a group of bodyguards very resolutely. If she was the only one, she would understand it, but even Shinobu agreed with this and said that she didn't bring enough people. So we can only bring out such a large number of people. Fortunately, these bodyguards are all carefully selected. Some are left behind by the family, and some are slaves purchased before. They are all loyal and have good strength, which is enough to support the scene. I Saint Ivanlos. You are here. And when they approached the auction house, a person at the door also hurriedly ran over, and then bowed deeply to him, but his body was extremely trembling, and his nerves were tense, as if he was more nervous than before. The civilians looked even more nervous. Well, I want to go in. Is there still room? Yes, of course there is. Your position must be the best. That is, Holy Rosewater is already inside today. Oh, does that have anything to do with me? No, please come in. After hearing Ivan's cold voice, the staff member hurriedly waved his hand, and then respectfully stretched out his hand to signal them to go in. Ivan, without even looking at him, silently led the group of people behind him in. In fact, from the many trembling guards on the side, it can be seen that there are already celestial dragons inside. But he was too lazy to care. Those people had always been afraid of him, and he had never cared about them. If you dare to cause trouble, just teach him a lesson. For auction of the 3 Sisters of 9 Snakes, asking for collection, flowers, evaluation votes. Advertisement. The slave auction house, as its name suggests, is a place where slaves are auctioned. There is a high possibility that some people who have lost their country or been defeated in war will be sold here as slaves. They have no human dignity or rights and can only be exploited and squeezed until death. Ladies and gentlemen, what's coming next is completely different from the previous ones. Are you ready? Then we have invited us, the top dancer of the subjugated country, Basilia. XN. Damn it. This one is indeed much better than the previous ones. I just wasted so much money on the one above. What a loss. Indeed, it's a pity. I don't know how much it can be sold for. Even the stunning blue-haired dancer in front of her now had tears in her eyes, her face was full of despair, and she looked pitiful. The nobles present who considered themselves to be of high quality did not have any sympathy at all. No matter how long you have lived in this place, you have already become numb. To them, slaves are not human beings, they are just useful tools that can see and work. The starting price is 1.5 million. Every increase will be no less than 100,000, let's start. 1.7 million. 2 million. 2.2 million. The prices soon got higher and higher, the scene became more and more crazy, and the ugly side of human nature was fully revealed. 10 million. XN. But at this moment, a dull voice suddenly came out, and then the voices of other people present disappeared immediately, and they looked at the back of the person in the front row with a look of fear. There's no way to fight with the celestial dragons. Even if you win, you won't be able to walk out with your life. Third time for 10 million. The deal is done. Congratulations to Basilia. The final ownership rights belong to our Saint of Castor. No, don't get me wrong, the person who just spoke is not very young anymore. This is a middle-aged man wearing sunglasses, a beard, and a bubble hood on his head. HMPH, there aren't any good slaves today. This one is pretty good. It just depends on what the last one is. He sat alone in the front row, looking at the dancers in front of him with a boring expression. After watching it for so long, there is only one person who can see it a little bit better, but he has seen too much of this level, so it is okay to ask him to go back to dance. Well, this is also normal. After all, as a celestial dragons, he has long been used to seeing stunning beauties, so this woman is just barely there. To be honest, he was more interested in someone's two female guards. Advertisement. It's a pity that that boy is not easy to mess with, even he doesn't want to take the initiative to cause trouble anymore. Fortunately, he hasn't come out to cause harm to anyone recently, and I can enjoy it with peace of mind. Then, it's finally time for today's finale. Let us welcome the rare warriors of the Nine Snakes Pirates who have just been captured, 3 cute young girl warriors. Ooh, oh, a warrior of 9 snakes? When he heard this, not to mention the people around him, even Castor couldn't help but become a little interested. I saw 3 beautiful girls with young faces and slender figures, but wearing thin alien clothes, walking up in chains with frightened expressions on their faces. When they saw them, those present became even more excited. Although they are still very young, it can be seen that they are all beautiful women, and some people may prefer this kind. Moreover, this belongs to the Nine Snakes Pirates. Everyone has admired the rumored daughter country for a long time, but the folk customs there are fierce and powerful. I have never seen slaves of 9 snakes before. I finally saw it this time. Now that you have the chance, you must try and watch it. Have you seen such beautiful and lovely 3 sisters? Because of their special characteristics, we are preparing to auction all 3 together. The starting price is 20 million, and each increase in price will be no less than 1 million, so 100 million. XN. But before the auctioneer finished speaking, Castor, who was in the front row, had already directly said a number, scaring everyone else away. I have to say that this value is indeed rare. You can buy a mermaid. And best of all, it's the celestial dragons who bid. It seems that there is no hope. Look, it seems that our Castor Saint wealth is still very powerful. Then, 100 million once, 100 million twice, 100 million. 300 million. XN. However, just when everyone thought that the final word was coming, a calm voice suddenly sounded from behind. The sound was very dull and not loud, but for some reason, it was clearly transmitted to the ears of everyone present. After seeing him, everyone present, including Castor, could not help but shrink their pupils instantly. He came just in time. Damn it, this kid went against him again. 5 is indeed a waste. Asking for collections, flowers, and evaluation votes. Advertisement. The moment they heard this voice coming from behind, many people were shocked for a moment, and then looked at the figures walking in from the front door with some fear and excitement. No, to be precise, most of them were staring at the young man in the middle. No matter how attractive the 2 stunning beauties next to them are, everyone's eyes are now on the young man. He is probably in his early 20s, very young, and about 2 meters tall. Although he is not that tall in this world, he is not short either, and the proportions look perfect. He is also extremely handsome, and he is not a pretty boy. He is more masculine, but he does not look too rough either. But the most important thing is his identity, Ivan Los Astoria, one of the celestial dragons. Unlike other celestial dragons, he never wears those bubble hoods when he goes out, nor does he ride around on a slave. On the contrary, he treated the slaves very well. After buying them, he used them as ordinary servants and paid them wages. This is really confusing, but it's not their turn to give advice on this kind of thing. What's more, you should know that he is someone who even the other celestial dragons don't dare to provoke. Soon, he walked to the front row and sat down. The 2 stunning beauties beside him also sat down with a chuckle. The remaining bodyguards and maids sat relatively far apart. Of course, no one dared to say anything. It's time to get started, right? Oh, okay. Ivan Los Saint offered 300 million, is there anything higher? After hearing his words, the auctioneer in front also quickly reacted, and then continued shouting hurriedly. Unexpectedly, the price tripled all of a sudden. You know, even the previous price was already somewhat beyond his expectations. And now the price is unprecedented, which makes him very excited. Of course, he is still rational and will not let the temporary interests go to his head. After all, you have to know, I also have 300 million, but it's cash. There are also celestial dragons competing with each other. Outsiders don't dare to compete with them, celestial dragons. Even if they are really rich, they don't dare to disobey rashly, otherwise they may not be able to live long. But now, if it is between 2 celestial dragons, there are naturally not so many rules. Whoever has a strong fist will listen to whoever says it. Castor also gritted his teeth at this time, and then showed a ferocious smile at the corner of his mouth, and looked at Ivan not far away with a look of disdain. This kid has always relied on the 5 elders to indulge him, so he has always been unscrupulous. But now, if he only uses money to solve the problem, he won't be able to take action. Although one of this boy's subordinates, somehow, found a lot of gold, which made his family's industry very prosperous, and he may be one of the richest families among them. But there is an hidden rule in the competition between celestial dragons. That is, the rule for cash transactions can be enabled. After all, celestial dragons is not short of money. But everyone is very respectable, and there are always times when they fall in love with a certain item or slave. At this juncture, if a worthless product is raised to a sky-high price purely for the sake of face, it will be unfriendly to both parties. So at this time, there is a rule that payment can only be made in cash. Whoever brings more cash will win. Advertisement, and now, he brought a full 500 million in cash. It looks like this kid Ivan has brought so much, so he will definitely win. 301 million, cash. But this time, Ivan seemed to be a little reluctant, and only added a reserve price, which made people feel a little disappointed. I originally thought I could see the two of them competing with each other on price. Although it has nothing to do with them, it is human nature to watch the excitement. What's more, the conflicts between celestial dragons are not something that can be seen so casually. It's a pity that Ivan Lost Saint seems to have miscalculated a bit this time. Ha ha ha, Ivan Ross, you are also scared this time. It seems that this time the slave belongs to me, 400 million, Castor also looked very proud and laughed out loud. He smiled very proudly and wildly. To be honest, he had made trouble for Ivan before, and even took the initiative to find someone to teach him a lesson. After all, there were often no people around him, just a few bodyguards. But in the end, he was beaten severely every time, either with broken bones, and had to lie in the hospital for several months to recover. So, it made him feel very embarrassed. This time, I can finally vent my anger. But as soon as he thought of this, Castor could no longer say anything in the middle of what he said. Because, he felt as if his brain was suddenly cut off, and his whole body was evacuated. Then his whole body was violently shaken, and then he fainted on the ground with foaming at the mouth. K. Castor Saint? XN. Wow, XN. After seeing this scene, both his guards and the surrounding spectators immediately became nervous and prepared to run away. Celestial dragons suddenly encountered such an attack. Who knows whether it will affect them? Albedo, you were too cruel. You just used the lost heart curse. Be careful, he will become insane like last time. No, Lord Ivan, we should be more ruthless towards this kind of rubbish. XN was at her hand. Everyone couldn't help but swallow when they saw the beautiful, angel-like woman who hugged Ivan's arm affectionately and then leaned obediently into his arms. But no one dared to say anything. Even the celestial dragons were stunned. What a madman. As expected, he is a waste. Then forget about what he said next. Let's announce the result. Didn't you hear me? 6. The King of Celestial Dragons, please collect flowers, evaluation votes. Advertisement, what's going on? Saint Castor suddenly fainted? I don't know, but it should have been done by the woman next to Ivan Lost Saint. I seem to have heard of such an ability before. I didn't expect that I would actually dare to take action, as expected of Saint Ivanlos. Shush. Keep your voice down, be careful not to be heard. After hearing the auctioneer's declaration, the audience began to whisper. Obviously, this thing definitely exceeded their expectations. But, very cool, to be honest, deep down in their hearts, they all want to see Saint Ivanlos teach the other celestial dragons. After all, celestial dragons are too much. Let alone slaves, even ordinary people in front of them are actually not much different from slaves. The level of wanton behavior far exceeds what outsiders imagine. But only Saint Ivanlos was different. In front of him, even the celestial dragons seemed to be almost like ordinary people. What's more, he is so young and handsome, and his personality is much better than other celestial dragons. At best, he looks a little cold, but this shows his nobility and charm. Well, these people are very mean. If you give them a good look, it will rub your nose. On the contrary, if you put on a high profile, they will really respect you from the bottom of their hearts. Ivan has been very clear about this for a long time, so when he is outside, he basically shows a relatively cold attitude. Besides, there are basically no good people here. Saint Ivanlos, Saint Castor. But unlike those people who mainly eat melons, the most nervous ones are definitely Castor's subordinates. Seeing that their master suddenly fainted, they were in a mess. Even if the doctor came to check, he still didn't find any problems. In desperation, one of them, a bigger dogleg, was forced to ask Ivan. Although, when asked this question, he couldn't help but tremble a little. If he can't die, just let him go back and lie down. Also, warn him not to go out this week. If I touch him again, I won't let him go so easily. Go away. Yes, After hearing Ivan's words, especially the last two words, the big dog's face turned livid in an instant. The other people's faces were not good looking either, but they still hurriedly carried Castor away. They are usually used to being domineering, how could they ever encounter such an aggrieved thing? But as doglegs, they knew better that the person in front of them would dare to beat even the celestial dragons. He seemed to have a good temper, but in fact he was more unpredictable and untouchable. After seeing them fleeing, many people present looked a little excited and could hardly hold back the ecstasy in their hearts and shouted out. Of course, they are still calm. If they cheer at this time, they may suffer disaster in the future. But this did not prevent them from secretly cheering for this St. Ivanlos. Advertisement. It's a pity that on this island, all celestial dragons have absolute control over them, just like kings. Well, if they really have a king, they really want this person to be the one. No, to be precise, it would be great if he could become the king of celestial dragons, and change everything. This is their key, Miss Butterfly Ninja, please keep it. Thank you very much. What's going on? This is what we should do. After handing the key to the smiling butterfly girl, in front of him, the auctioneer also smiled nervously. The auction has ended, and now we are backstage, handing over the keys to the 3 9-snake female warriors. But when he saw this young lady's smiling face, he didn't know why, but he always felt a little cold in his back. Ahem, why do you feel like this on this hot day? Of course, Shinobu didn't pay attention to him for long. If you kill one of these little minions, more will appear. So she quickly looked at Ivan next to her and looked at him with a chuckle. Although he didn't say anything, the meaning was already unspoken. Well, go ahead. And Ivan naturally nodded, and after receiving permission, Shinobu slowly walked towards the 3 girls with a smile. However, this gentle smiling face looked extremely terrifying to them, like a demon. In the past few days, they have seen so-called men, and witnessed all their ugliness. Although the person approaching now is a beautiful woman, it is conceivable that she is obeying this man's orders. Will she do something more extreme to them later? Clang. But at this moment, the sound of metal falling to the ground suddenly sounded not far in front of the 3 of them. The girl in the middle with black hair and twin tails dazedly touched her neck, which was no longer restrained, and looked stupidly at the gentle young lady in front of her who stretched out her hand to touch her head. From now on, you will be the servants of the Astoria family, you must work hard, otherwise you will have nothing to eat. 7. This woman is ruthless. Asking for collections, flowers, and evaluation votes. Advertisement. Well, may I ask what we need to do? After seeing that his own collar and the collars of his 2 sisters were actually untied, the girl with black hair and twin tails couldn't help but swallowed and asked. Maybe it's because the collar has been taken off and my mentality is different. Shinobi, who looked like a devil just now looked like an angel in their eyes. Well, actually it's nothing. Just do your job as a maid, clean the room, wash clothes and so on. But after all, my lord spent a lot of money to buy you, so you should be lazy in moderation. But no, if you can escape, you will be punished by not being able to eat for a day. X3. This is the punishment too light. Did you really not mean to make fun of them? In fact, they have met many people who have become slaves in the past few days. Being ridden, kneeling like a dog, wearing revealing clothes, and being beaten and scolded. Anyway, these days, they have really been exposed to extremely painful hellish conditions. I originally thought that my 3 sisters would soon become like that. Especially when they saw that the other party was also a celestial dragons, they were really desperate. Because celestial dragons are the most violent type, many slaves under their hands died in pain within a few years. But now, what's going on? But for the 3 sisters who are pirates, it is absolutely impossible for them to give in like this. After the 3 of them looked at each other, they disappeared in an instant. Then he ran out towards the door. When they finally have the chance to regain their freedom, of course they will choose to run away. But just when they were about to run out, a figure suddenly appeared in front of them, and they immediately felt that their bodies were restrained and could not move forward at all. I know it. Don't be too nice to these newcomers. It will only make them develop a lazy mentality. All they have to do is be loyal to Lord Ivan. There is no need to think about anything else. If they dare to betray again, just kill them. This beautiful elder sister who really looked like an angel, spoke quietly, but words coming out of her mouth were indistinguishable from those of a real devil, although she was indeed a devil. After the 3 sisters heard it, they couldn't help but tremble. Because they could feel from the elder sister's golden vertical eyes that were obviously not like those of ordinary humans. She was speaking from the bottom of her heart. So I have always said that Miss Albedo has no humanity at all. Don't you have any sympathy for such cute children? Be a little more tolerant, you will scare them. Oh, I am a devil. Of course I have no humanity. It makes no difference to me whether they are human adults or cubs. But betraying Lord Ivan is absolutely not allowed. I will definitely throw them into the pile of bone-eating insects. Inside, let them watch their flesh and bones slowly melt away bit by bit, and then live in despair forever. Quote. XN. Advertisement. Hiss. This woman is really cruel. Although I don't know what a bone-eating insect is, hearing the name and the description behind it already makes people feel numb in the scalp and weak in the limbs. Not only the three sisters who met her for the first time, but also the remaining people in the auction house couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. They were naturally deeply impressed by this extremely beautiful woman, who appeared next to Ivan Lost Saint about 2 months ago. But unlike the truly gentle Miss Butterfly, this one just looks gentle. In fact, her arrogant attitude is not much worse than that of celestial dragons. No, it should be said even more so. Because she once provoked and insulted Saint Ivanlos because of a celestial dragons, and then she got angry and attacked the celestial dragons directly. She is still lying in the hospital bed. As for those followers who dared to take action, all of them were seriously injured, with minor fractures, and some were even directly killed by Sister G. But Ivan Lost Saint himself did not take such a big thing seriously and continued shopping as usual. Afterwards, it seemed that there was no punishment for him and the lady from above. All I can say is, try not to mess with her. And the three sisters also knew that if they dared to escape again, she would really kill them without mercy. After looking at each other, the three of them finally chose to give up, and the restraints they received quickly disappeared. Okay, Albedo, don't scare them. I don't think they will do anything stupid. At this time, Ivan, who had been silent on the side, finally spoke. In fact, he had really wanted to talk to this Empress, whom he once liked very much. I have searched for slave auction houses so many times before, but the most important thing is to meet her, but today I actually met her. But Shinobu and Albedo were very thoughtful, which made it difficult for him to speak. Anyway, let's talk about your names first. Quote. Boa Hancock. Boya Sandersonia. Boya Marigold. Well, from now on, I'll call you Hancock, Sonia and Mary. Work hard here and I won't treat you badly. Normally, as long as you don't make any big mistakes, I'll give you your freedom after working for 3 years. Really? X3. Is this true or false? Can a slave still be free? Well, do I need to lie to you? Besides, you are warriors of 9 snakes, so your talents should be pretty good. Let Shinobu teach you well. 8. I want all of these slaves ask for collection, flowers, evaluation votes. Advertisement. Is it really appropriate for such a young child to follow me? I'm very strict. After hearing Ivan's words, Shinobi on the side also chuckled and used his right hand to support his chin and cheek, tilting his head slightly and speaking softly. To be honest, this look is really unconvincing, and it always feels a bit too gentle. But in fact, the maids and bodyguards behind them could not help but tremble slightly, with a hint of fear in their eyes, and they subconsciously straightened their backs. She was really right about this, and she was very humble. Not only is he strict, but when he trains, he is really like a devil. The kind that can laugh and blow your whole body away with a wooden sword. Don't think that only bodyguards need training, these maids are also pretty good. Because Ivan felt that it would be better to have more self-protection power in this world, so he tried his best to teach them how to fight. Even if they don't do it in the future, they would be safer. So although their strength is much lower than that of the bodyguards, they are still much stronger than ordinary people. Appropriate, but they should be fine. The girls of Kuja have been warriors since they were young, and Haki should have been trained. Hancock, you seem to be a little different. Do you have Conqueror's Haki? Ivan looked at the three sisters silently, then pretended to be deep and muttered to Hancock. After hearing the news, everyone present who knew Haki couldn't help but show surprise. They all have learned Haki, including Albedo and Shinobu. Although they are not yet proficient, given their strength, they have actually learned similar abilities, so they can master them quickly. But none of them have the Conqueror's Haki that is born with them. It is said that this is a probability that only 1 in a million people have. Didn't you expect that this girl who almost became a slave actually owns Conqueror's Haki? Quote. Yeah, but I can't control it very well yet. Seeing that Ivan actually said this directly, Hancock pondered for a moment and nodded. She has also awakened before, so she also understands the situation of Conqueror's Haki, but she can't control it now. When she uses it passively, it will hurt everyone around her. Well, in that case, I will teach you when I have the opportunity in the future. It would be a pity if this talent is wasted. Why, don't you want to? No. I do. Thank you, Ivan Loss Saint. Hancock quickly waved his hands excitedly, and then thanked Ivan. However, she was obviously still a little confused when she called this title, but then she followed the others and called it. Haha, just call me Lord Ivan. I don't like that title. Advertisement. Okay. Okay, Lord Ivan. Fortunately, Ivan also had a faint smile on his face at this time, which made Hancock feel a little more at ease and shouted like Albedo. But this time Albedo didn't react at all. After all, although she hates humans, there are many levels of humans. It's like forbearance. Although Albedo also hated Shinobu, she would not treat her like those ordinary people. Beings with power are naturally a little different, not to mention that she respects Lord Ivan very much. As for this girl, although she is still very weak, she has Conqueror's Haki, so she should be able to grow a little in the future. Well, let's go then. By the way, I also want all the slaves here. Let's buy them back together. Ivan nodded silently, then looked around and said. When they heard these words, the eyes of the slaves who were still depressed and desperate around them couldn't help but light up. Is this true? Ivan lost Saint. No, Lord Ivan really wants to buy them. You know, Ivan's name is not only spread among the nobles and ordinary people, but also quite famous among the slaves. Because he is the only celestial dragons who is relatively friendly to slaves. The slaves he bought basically lived like ordinary people. Many even became specialized maids and bodyguards, and their wages were even much higher than ordinary people. Of course, only those who perform well can stay. If their performance is not good enough, Ivan will not be a moth. But generally those who stay will work hard to perform, so they rarely lay off employees. But, these slaves already have owners, and the dancer was bought by Saint Castre. Didn't you hear what I said? I want it all. If they have any objections, just let them come to me directly. Or do you think that loser is better than me? No, Ivan lost Saint. I didn't mean that. When he heard the last sentence, the auctioneer's face instantly turned livid, and he hurriedly shook his head like a rattle. That's it, untie their collars for me. But don't think about running away. I won't show mercy to those who want to escape. Do it well and I won't treat you badly, you know. No, XN. Oh my god, this is the real, celestial dragons. 9 Albedo. Caller. It's an honor. Asking for collections, flowers, and evaluation votes. Advertisement. Wow, so beautiful. It's actually flying. How high is this? I don't know, it must be several thousand meters, maybe 10,000 meters. Wow, X3. After hearing the words of the gentle maid, the 3 girls in brand new clothes couldn't help but shout in surprise. Then he pulled the guardrail of the ship with excitement on his face, and then looked at the surrounding landscape. Towering into the clouds, the breeze blows gently, and even some birds fly by from time to time, which makes it feel incredibly beautiful. Even though they had almost become slaves not long ago and were worried about their future. But now, I can look at the beautiful scenery around me with a smile. Of course, on the one hand, it is due to their nature, and on the other hand, it is also because the people around them are too kind. Not only the sister butterfly, but also the group of maid sisters around them were also very gentle to them and introduced them carefully. They said that Mr. Ivan was a unique person. He never treated servants as slaves. On the contrary, he was very protective of his shortcomings. Even if they are bullied by other celestial dragons, Lord Ivan will directly fight back and treat them as one of his own. In short, they all praised Ivan as bright as a flower and put all the good things on him, so that they could rest assured that they might even like him. When they said this, the faces of the maids turned red, and they all started teasing each other, making the 3 Hancock sisters a little dizzy. It seems that these sisters are all obsessed with Lord Ivan. But is this really the case? Even though the performance of these sisters is more positive than they imagined, would men really be like this? In the past few days, they had met many men. Those men all had obscene and disgusting smiles on their faces, which were extremely disgusting. No man was an exception. Now that such a positive man suddenly appears, they really don't know whether they should believe it. Thinking of this, the 3 sisters simultaneously looked at the back of the figure standing at the bow of the ship, silently looking into the distance. Alas, there is no point in thinking too much. It is what it is now, so just try to accept it. A little thought is always better than being in despair all the time. Advertisement. The 3 sisters who thought this way also breathed a sigh of relief, and then began to chat with the maids next to them and the female slaves who were bought together. No matter what, my neck, hands and feet are not restrained, so there is still some hope. TCH, these slaves really have no rules at all, and they actually started to move freely so quickly. But what they don't know is that one person is really dissatisfied now. Albedo glanced at the people over there who had begun to laugh gradually, but her face showed some displeasure, and she muttered quietly, but her voice was just enough for Ivan on the side to hear. She really couldn't understand why Master Ivan always focused on these slaves. After buying them, he even asked them to change into new clothes in the room over there, and then walked out in a big way. It would be too laissez-faire to allow them to take a bath in the bathroom of this Astoria family's exclusive dragon boat and chat freely. At this point, how can there be any sense of awe? Haha, that's fine. When I see those collars, I feel they are an eyesore. If I ask you to wear them, you will also feel uncomfortable, right? No. If Lord Ivan lets me wear it, I will feel extremely honored, and I will also be very excited. Quote. Ahem. These are two different things, not what you think. After hearing an answer that exceeded his expectations, Ivan coughed slightly, pretended to be serious, and then continued to look forward. He's not really that soft-hearted. He only helps people when he sees them and doesn't take the initiative to save people. What's more, it's the Empress and the others, and Ivan's motives are mostly selfish. He wants to act cool in front of this future stunning beauty, and it can also improve Shinobu's goodwill. After all, he is not a kind person, and his inner thoughts are actually not much different from ordinary people before. Even if he really had the ability to change the world, he wouldn't do anything so troublesome. My life was pretty good, why did I have to worry about so much trouble? Unless he one day becomes the master of the celestial dragons and issues a few laws that change the fate of the slaves, that would be a lot easier in an instant. Of course, this was impossible, and he would not daydream about it. But what he doesn't know is that daydreams sometimes really come true. And whether you accept it or not, it may come towards you. 1 month, the changes of the three sisters. Asking for collections, flowers, and evaluation votes. Advertisement. Time passed by little by little. 1 minute, 1 hour, all day. Before you know it, another month has passed. If you were experiencing it yourself, it might feel like things were going by a little slowly. But after it passes, it feels like time flies again. For Hancock et al., that is now the case. Over this period of time, they have gradually become accustomed to life as maids. Tidy the house, do the laundry, trim the flowers, and train. Be careful next time. Yes. X3. After hearing the gentle words of the woman in front of them, the three Hancock sisters tensed up their nerves and maintained a prepared posture. The woman opposite smiled, and then instantly turned into a colorful shadow, flying toward them like a butterfly. And in the face of the surging offensive, they did not stop. Possessed by snake hair Yamada no Orochi. Sonia roared loudly, and her lower body turned directly into a slender and graceful snake body. Her original round face also became a little more coquettish due to the pressure reduction in Nobuko. The green wavy hair also grew several times longer in an instant, and then turned into the shape of 8 giant snakes, and then bit hard at the attacking woman. Every time it hits the ground, the rubble on the ground will be blasted into various pieces. However, the opponent just stepped on the ground a few times and dodged them all easily. Watch out. But at this time, Mary on the side also saw the opportunity and also transformed into a slender python, and then fiercely swung the snake's tail like an iron whip. But even so, he still dodged extremely easily after being lightly jumped by the other party. Perfume femur. When he saw the opponent rising into the air, Hancock also aimed at the gap at this moment, and then kicked out with a set of dazzling chain kicks. Oh, it seemed that she was a little surprised by this move, so the woman opposite also looked slightly surprised. Advertisement. But in fact, her figure in midair twisted slightly, and after stepping lightly on her feet, she dodged directly, not taking Hancock's series of kicks seriously at all. Until Hancock's combo hit a blind spot for a moment because of her turning around, a slender wooden sword suddenly appeared not far from Hancock's neck, and then pressed firmly against it. Still, it still doesn't work. After the three sisters saw this scene, they couldn't help but gasp for air while looking at the smiling young lady in front of them with tangled eyes. It's not just the difference in strength, the opponent's skills are also extremely strong. The speed she showed was not very fast, not even as fast as them. But it seemed as if he could completely control their movements and easily predict the future. Haki, who is aware of S*X, has naturally been learning this since they were young. But Sister Ren seems to have just learned it 2 months ago, but she has been studying it for decades. She has seen it so thoroughly. Well, the cooperation just now was very good. If I had changed my opponent, I might have been able to win. I passed the test today. Okay. X3. However, after receiving this comment from the other party, they couldn't help but scream in ecstasy. This is the first time they have received a qualified evaluation from Sister Shinobu. Although she seems to be very gentle all the time, during training, she shows no mercy at all, and her mouth is actually very venomous. Well, all 3 of them performed well today, and I'm quite satisfied. At this time, a man's voice came from the side. You know, this is a training ground exclusively for women, so during normal training, the male bodyguards cannot see here. Therefore, the only man here is naturally Lord Ivan. X3. Seeing this man walking over with a faint smile, the three sisters immediately ran over excitedly, then raised their heads and looked at him expectantly. Well, it seems that you have been working very hard recently. Come on. The man also smiled lightly and stretched out his hand, and then gently touched the heads of the three of them, making them all look happy. But only when it was Sonia's turn, he not only touched her head, but also stretched out his hands to touch her cheeks, pulling up her round face. Well, it's a small, round face. The big round head that was originally about twice as big as an ordinary person has now shrunk to twice the size of an ordinary person. Well, I just spent some points to buy her some body conditioners, which won't have much impact on her body, and she looks much cuter, so why not? Needless to say, Mary's appearance was quite good when she was a child. Sonia was actually quite cute when she was a child, but her head was a bit bigger, so if the male protagonist uses props to change it, there should be no problem. 11 fruits of the three Empress sisters please collect flowers and comment votes. Advertisement. Allah, my lord still likes Sonia as always. Do you really like this child's round face so much? After seeing someone's behavior, Shinobu walked over with a chuckle and started teasing him. But even though she said that, she also reached out her hand, and then gently kneaded Sonia's round face. This feeling is indeed extraordinary. No wonder the lord likes it so much. Sonia, who had her cheek pulled, was a little nervous at first, but then she still showed a happy and bright smile, while the two sisters beside her showed a slightly envious look. Over this period of time, they have become quite familiar with Master Ivan. At first, I thought the other person might be cold, but after getting along with him for a while, I found that Lord Ivan actually has a good personality, and he also knows how to joke, so he is not as cold as he thought. If you think about it carefully, it's actually right. Lord Ivan has a special status. Even if he shows a calm attitude, others may feel more uneasy. It is better to act calmly. But the kind heart remains the same. During this time, they also asked a lot of questions about the maids and sisters, and they all learned about their past. Most of them were noble ladies or singers after the country was overthrown, but they gave up hope after becoming slaves. It was Lord Ivan who rescued them from that evil auction house and taught them little by little how to do housework, fight and so on. Now they actually have holidays and wages, their food and accommodation are comfortable, and their workload is actually not too heavy. What's wrong with living like this? After hearing this and getting along with him during this period of time, they all completely trusted their master. Moreover, he also bought the legendary devil fruit for each of the three of them. Hancock's sweet fruit, Sonia's snake fruit and python form, and Mary's snake fruit and king cobra form. They also suddenly gained much more power than before. However, those two snake fruits are still a bit troublesome, because after using them, their bodies will become very large and exaggerated, and their bodies and faces will also become a little ferocious, so they don't feel like using them. But Lord Ivan took out some special and different potions, and after they drank them slowly, they gradually changed a lot. Now, even after they have transformed, they are still very well proportioned, and their snake bodies and heads are also very slender, but they have become slightly more coquettish. What surprised them even more was that Sonia's head also became smaller. Well, how should I put it? I was used to seeing her the way she was before, but looking at her now, I always feel a bit uncomfortable, but Mr. Ivan said that she is cuter like this, so be it. Haha, isn't it the same for you? Advertisement. There's nothing you can do about it, it's so comfortable after all. Speaking of which, where did Miss Albedo go? When I came here just now, my lord came alone. You know, the one who usually never leaves the lord's side was the one who was there not long ago. Where has he gone now? She went to take stock of the goods. Tallying the goods. When he heard this, Ren couldn't help but look a little confused, let alone the three little guys next to him. They have been here for a month or two and have not seen any goods coming. If it's food, it's not available every day, but it shouldn't be something Albedo, the general manager, has to worry about, right? Well, speaking of which, you haven't seen it either, Shinobu. After all, I haven't summoned him during this time. Summon. Lord, is that what you meant? When he heard this, Shinobu finally came to his senses and said in surprise. Indeed, it has been almost 2 months since she was summoned, but during this period, the Lord has not summoned anyone else, and there are currently only 2 in total. To be honest, according to her thoughts, something seemed not quite right. After all, the Lord has always been shy. If he had the chance to summon him, he would probably do it, right? It turns out that I have no money. Of course, this idea was wrong to him, he was rich. And how could he be so impatient? It's just that he feels that he hasn't established a good relationship with Shinobu yet, so he shouldn't be in such a hurry to summon him. That's what I mean. I got the gold from Tezzolo. The quantity seems to be quite large. That guy has helped me make a lot of money recently. How many are there? It's probably worth around 10 billion. X4. 10 billion. How many zeros is this? 12. Can't you come to see your fiancé? Asking for collections, flowers, and evaluation votes. Advertisement. Lord Ivan, long time no see, I hope you are in good health and all the best. The situation here is very stable, and the company is in good operating condition. However, due to the expansion of several streets, more funds are needed for turnover, so I have not been able to send you money here for the time being. So this time, I will return the principal to you with interest in one go. The remaining funds are enough for us to continue operating, and we will hand over normally every month after that. One more thing, Stella is pregnant. Thank you again, Lord Ivan, for your help. I am very stupid and know that the only place where I can play a role is to make money. Although I know that you are not interested in money, I will still do my best to make more money for you. Close black lens bracket. Your most faithful servant, Gilder Tezzolo, here you go. Close black lens bracket. Comma. Haha. The previously single-minded and reckless Tezzolo has become so literate now, he even writes such disgusting things. It seems that people will indeed change after becoming a father. Already. Looking at the neat handwriting on the paper in front of him, Ivan shook his head with a bit of laughter, then looked at the treasures stacked as high as a hill in front of him, and said with some emotion. Lord Ivan, it's all gold, pearls and gems. I've already calculated it. The total value should be around 10 billion. The difference shouldn't be big. At this time, a stunning beauty with wings behind her slowly walked over and said respectfully to him. Not far away, Shinobu and Hancock were looking at this scene in surprise and dumbfounded. Obviously, even if they were used to living a luxurious life, this was the first time they saw something so terrifying. A bunch of hills were dumped out of the containers that were just put down from the car, and they were all filled with gold, which was really confusing. Well, it's pretty much the same. Unlike Albedo, who calculated it roughly, Ivan estimated it based on the data obtained by the system, and it was indeed worth a little over 10 billion belly. It has to be said that Albedo's abilities in all aspects are quite outstanding. Especially in terms of settling accounts, it can be said that there is no leakage. Even the salary payment of each maid in the family, as well as various welfare subsidies, etc., are all managed by her personally. This incident also surprised Shinobu. According to her thoughts, Miss Albedo seems so stubborn and hates human things, but she surprisingly knows everything about human beings. It's indeed very powerful, but when it's poured out like this and mixed, it's very messy, isn't it? Didn't they separate it on purpose? Of course, she was surprised, and she was still a little speechless. They had all been packed separately, including gold, gems, pearls, etc., but now they were poured together and mixed together. What are you doing like this? Just for a good-looking picture. Don't worry, we don't need to separate anymore. Advertisement. Of course, it is impossible for Ivan to do such a boring thing. He walked over slowly, and then stretched out his right hand towards the pile of hills. Then, the pair of treasures as high as a hill seemed to be attracted by a powerful tornado, flying towards Ivan's hand, and then disappeared into his hand. After a while, about 10 seconds. The pile of treasures just now has completely disappeared, and the ground in front of me has become bare, with no residue left. Congratulations on your direct exchange of equal value, which increased your points by 3,333 and your current points are 9,920. After hearing the voice in his mind, Ivan also breathed a sigh of relief, with a look of satisfaction on his face. It's almost approaching 10,000 points. It's finally time to redeem that. You know, he hasn't summoned a girl for 2 months. It's not just that he wants to continue to communicate with Shinobu more, or that he doesn't want to summon her, but he's still a little short of money. Of course, given his situation, he is still short of money, which is enough to show that what he needs is a terrifying value. 10,000 points, 30 billion Baileys. Even for celestial dragons, this is not money that can be spent casually. But as long as he can redeem it successfully, he shouldn't have anything to worry about in this world. Please wait a moment, Lord Ivan is doing business inside. HMPH. Are you qualified to stop me? You are really overestimating your capabilities, Armas. Quote. But just as he thought of this, a familiar and arrogant girl's voice came from the direction of the door not far away. After hearing this voice, Ivan, Shinobu, and Albedo had complicated expressions on their faces. TCH, aren't they all slacking off and taking a rest? Where are you doing your business, Armas? Ivan, what do you think? Quote. Charlie, why are you here? Looking at the beautiful girl in front of him who was wearing bulky clothes like a space suit, with a bubble hood on her head and a veil on her face, Ivan sighed and then asked. Alas, trouble comes. Why, can't I come and see my fiancé? Is it possible that I am not as good as these vixen Armas? You will know who this girl is just by looking at her name. There are subtle changes in her name, but in terms of personality and appearance, just follow the younger one. 13. If you don't like it, just leave. Please collect flowers and comment votes. Advertisement. The newly appeared girl, who was obviously from Celestial Dragons, couldn't help but glance at Ivan angrily. But a certain title that came out of her mouth shocked the three sisters present. Fiancé. It turns out that Sir Ivan already has a marriage contract. Oh, come to think of it, with his status, this kind of thing must be right for him. In the world view of Celestial Dragons, only girls who are also Celestial Dragons are worthy of him. It can be seen that the other party is definitely a beautiful woman. She has an oval face, pink lips, very delicate facial features, and beautiful face. Even the hairstyle on her head that looks a bit like tentacles does not affect her beauty, but adds a bit of charm. It's a pity that the arrogance on her face is also obvious, making people intimidated and afraid to approach her. She simply ignored the three sisters who were closer, and then walked slowly to Ivan. So, you still have the same bad taste, Armas. You stay with these untouchables all day long, and your taste has become vulgar. You should change it as soon as possible. XN. One can imagine what the surrounding girls thought after hearing these remarks. Although the three Hancocks have become maids and almost became slaves before, they are still warriors of 9 snakes and have high self-esteem. Not to mention Albedo, except for Ivan, no one could catch her eye. Even Shinobu, who had always been good-tempered, couldn't help but have an obvious hash sign appear on his forehead at this time, and he clenched the wooden sword in his hand a little tighter. But none of them spoke. Maybe it's because the girl named Xiarli is a celestial dragons, so Hancock and the others naturally didn't dare to say anything. But in fact, the other two were not afraid of anything, but because this is my business and has nothing to do with you. No need. Ivan replied coldly. This actually made Hancock and the others feel a little relieved, and they felt a sense of joy in their hearts. I was originally worried that Sir Ivan would ignore them to please his fiancée because the other party was his fiancée. But in fact there is no need to worry at all. Advertisement. As expected of Lord Ivan. This is the kind of woman who should be scolded. Scold her to death. Scold her until she doubts her life. TCH. If my family hadn't let me get close to you, do you think I would? I don't know what's wrong with them to actually let me enter into such a boring engagement with you. However, Xiarli didn't seem surprised by Ivan's cold and repulsive attitude, and began to complain about her family, looking very reluctant. It seems that she was also forced to accept it. No wonder she came here to ask for trouble. Ah, if you hate your lord so much, why not just ignore this engagement? Miss Xiarli, there is no need to force it, isn't it uncomfortable? Yeah, there's no need to do this to yourself. It has to be said that although Shinobu and Albedo quarreled fiercely internally, when dealing with foreign enemies, the two of them had a tacit understanding and harmony. Unlike Shinobu's yin and yang, Albedo directly used very disgusting words. Well, this is normal. She once beat up a celestial dragons with her own hands, causing the latter to still lie in a hospital bed and have a psychological shadow. When this woman came over in the past, Albedo would directly retaliate and never gave her face. This actually made Hancock and the others couldn't help but feel more favorable toward Albedo. After all, everyone else is usually very gentle to them, but only Miss Albedo shows an arrogant attitude, just like a female celestial dragons, which is quite uncomfortable. But now that I saw her dare to scold a real female celestial dragons, I suddenly changed my mind a lot. HMPH. Untouchables are indeed unreasonable, but forget it, I'm too lazy to talk to you. Anyway, I just came here to talk to Ivan. Say what? Isn't the World Summit, which is held every 4 years, going to be held in a few months? It is said that all of us celestial dragons will also be there by then. There is something very important to be announced, so don't miss it. Oh, that's it. What if I don't go? I've come to tell you personally, but you still won't go. Who are you? Why should I listen to you? If you don't like it, just get out. You bad guy, don't keep talking like this whispering. X5. Why did your attitude suddenly change? Seeing the arrogant celestial dragons just now, they suddenly looked like a wronged little daughter-in-law, complaining in a low voice, and sometimes looked a little blushing and nervous. Several other girls present could not help but complain secretly in their hearts. This woman cannot really be interested in Lord Ivan. 14 Arrogance and coquettishness. Please collect flowers, evaluation votes. Advertisement. Then you should also speak nicely and stop pointing fingers at my woman, understand? Xiarli's voice was not loud, but everyone present was not an ordinary person, so they naturally heard it, not to mention Ivan. So Ivan also responded with a little annoyance, but his tone was a little softer. In fact, he naturally liked girls from the second dimension. But Xiarli was a celestial dragon, so her temper was naturally bad, and she was the same as her daughter, In the original book, even her habit of speaking was the same. Well, in fact, there was no need to say it clearly, just looking at this look, you can tell that she must be the mother of Shalulia. But in this world, Charlie was not with Rosward, but when she was about 6 years old, her family said that she wanted to marry him. At that time, Ivan himself was also confused. At this age, he had to consider such things. But in fact, it was not too early. After all, celestial dragons are ultimate luxury, and they are precocious in this regard. Many male celestial dragons have experienced those things when they were young. And if you want to pick the best, you have to do it as early as possible, so celestial dragon girls are basically very popular since they were young. The same is true for Charlie, who is outstanding in all aspects. What's more, her family is the family of Square Face, one of the 5 elders, and that Square Face is her biological father. When Ivan learned about this, he almost spit it out. I thought the 5 elders were far away from him, but I didn't expect them to be so close. But Charlie's temper is really bad. He, who has always been good-tempered, can't stand his woman being so arrogant. If you want to be his woman, at least you have to know how to get along with other girls. Although Albedo is so arrogant, she still knows her limits, and now she gets along well with Hancock and others. Hancock occasionally likes to imitate her elegance and arrogance, and it seems that she is really developing in the direction of the long-legged queen in the original book. Quote. I know, I am not interested in them, you can play however you like, Amas. After hearing Ivan's words, Charlie Leah also curled her lips a little unhappy, but her voice was obviously not as tough as before, but she looked like a wronged little girl complaining to her boyfriend. Well, after all, she has known Ivan for more than 10 years. Advertisement. Although she said that she didn't like him and looked down on him for getting so close to ordinary people, in fact, she felt that Ivan like this actually had a very special charm. And from childhood to adulthood, everyone treated her very well, her family doted on her, others were afraid of her, and obeyed her in everything. But Ivan was the only one who always seemed to draw a line with them, always doing completely different things, and also persuaded her not to use slaves, which would only make him hate her. I don't understand, why not use slaves, which are so useful? This is the wealth and rights that celestial dragons should have, why can't they use it? Well, you didn't bring slaves this time. I haven't used armas for a long time. That kind of thing is so slow and has no strength. It's very troublesome to change armas all the time. Cars are much faster than armas. But I really seem to be possessed by a ghost. In these years, I really didn't use slaves. I always took bubble cars when I went out. Of course, I still had to wear a hood. She didn't want to breathe the same air as those untouchables. That's more like it, you still have a little bit of love. Hearing this, Ivan's face also showed a happy look, and then he stretched his right hand to Charlie's cheek and gently stroked it. In fact, he had a good relationship with Charlie. Although this girl always spoke viciously, she actually listened to him secretly and would not kill people randomly. Her personality was much better. The reason why he was so repulsive before was because he knew that she was too proud to lose face, so he had to give her a warning. Albedo and Shinobu had actually seen this side of her, and they would only become docile after being scolded. Just like Doemu, there might be some hidden attributes in that aspect. HMPH. And Charlie also snorted coldly, but did not push his hand away, but turned her face away, and then accepted it silently with a red cheek. But this time, Shinobu and the others did not resist as much as before when they saw this scene. On the contrary, they did feel that this woman was still a little bit desirable. At least, never using slaves is 100 times better than those celestial dragons. Stop talking so much. Are these 3 the pirate slaves you bought before, Armas? I heard that when you bought them before, you knocked out Armas by Castair. Well, is there a problem? Of course there is a problem, Armas. They can't do anything to you, so they all come to my house to complain, and bother my father, Armas, all day long. So, there are some things that I want to talk to you about, don't let these outsiders hear it. 15 I am your man, please collect flowers, and vote for comments. Advertisement. So I've told you countless times, but you just don't listen to me, Armas. You are not afraid of anything by yourself. Others can't do anything to you, but you should also consider how I feel about my family. Those people are very troublesome, Armas. It's like this every time. It will attract those troublesome guys at every turn. They will make a fuss when nothing happens. Don't give them any reason. And I know how to play with those slaves and women who come out of nowhere all day long, and I'm not afraid of being laughed at, Armas. I don't know how to be ashamed at all. Wow, what are you doing, Armas? Quote. After feeling the subtle feeling coming from behind, the girl who had been talking endlessly suddenly became speechless, and then asked angrily to the man behind her with a red face. I just want you to be obedient. You know I don't like to hear nonsense. Wah, what? It's obviously your responsibility, causing our family to be innocently implicated, yet you're still so confident. And after hearing this answer that seemed to be a bit taken for granted, she curled her lips and complained in the same unhappiness. However, she did not break away from the embrace of the man behind her, but just sat on his tui silently. Well, it's sitting. This is a relatively empty room, spacious and bright, and the decoration is magnificent. In fact, some people don't like this kind of room very much. It's too big, but there's nothing I can do about it. They are all such big rooms. This is naturally Ivan's room. When Charlie wanted to whisper to him just now, Ivan brought her here, and then he hugged her directly and sat on this armchair. Well, she is his woman after all, so there are some things that she doesn't need to hide. This girl has actually liked following him since she was a child. Although he doesn't say it, he actually likes to play with him. It's just that she doesn't like to show this side in front of others, so she doesn't look much different from ordinary celestial dragons. But in fact, only when you are in front of him, you are actually much more docile. Then did your father say anything to me? Quote. No, father, just tell them to restrain themselves and not come to trouble you Armas. That's all right, you are more nervous than my prospective father-in-law. Are you worried that I will be excluded? Who is worried about you? I just. The lovely voice sounded again, and it seemed very clear in this quiet room. Advertisement. To be honest. Oh, yes, I'm a little worried, because everyone is talking bad about you, Armas. After being spanked, the girl's voice sounded much weaker, and she felt a little more obedient. Well, to put it bluntly, her toughness is only aimed at outsiders. Only in front of Ivan, she was actually an obedient little girl. Of course, she wouldn't want others to see this side of her. When she was in front of Albedo and the others just now, Ivan's attitude was too cold, which made her a little frightened, so she couldn't pretend anymore. In fact, when she came here just now, she was cheering for joy inside, as happy as anything. It's just because I heard that Ivan was busy some time ago, so I didn't dare to come over and disturb him. Naturally, only Ivan understands these things. A woman only reveals her true nature in front of her man. Lousy doesn't care at all about those trash words. Since we are celestial dragons, don't just listen to them, you must have your own opinions. But I think that's fine, Armas, and if I listen to you, I don't have my own opinion. Ouch, it hurts. I am your man. If you don't listen to me, who should you listen to? Otherwise, just do as you just said and terminate the engagement. No, I'm just embarrassed to admit Armas in front of them. I don't really want to let go. Brother Ivan, don't be angry with Armas. When it came to this step, the girl finally let go of her last hesitation, started to act like a baby, turned around, stretched out her hands, and hugged Ivan like a child. What he was wearing was no longer the usual spacesuit-like clothing he had worn before, but instead a high-end silk gauze outfit. It is unimaginable that the arrogant attitude of her before has now completely changed into another side. Then do you want to get along well with them? I will do it in the future. I need to give you some time to adapt, Armas. Then what should you do now? You know. I wasn't in such a good mood just now. Quote. Long time no see. Brother Ivan, yes, I'm sorry. Well, I forgive you. In this world, sometimes you have to act tough to make people surrender. Otherwise, others may always just look down at you. 16 Buster call is coming. Asking for collections, flowers, and evaluation votes. Advertisement. These 3 are the slaves you just bought, Ivan, right? I've said they're not slaves, they haven't been branded yet. That's almost it. Well, anyway, since you've been bought by Ivan, you should work hard for him, Armas, and don't do anything to embarrass him, otherwise I'll be embarrassed too. Originally, she wanted to be tough and establish her prestige. But after seeing the man next to her glance at her, Charlie Leah also coughed lightly, and then said coldly to the 3 young girls in front of her. Quote. Yes. X3. The 3 sisters looked at Ivan on the side, and after seeing him nod, the 3 of them responded, and then looked at Ivan with some admiration. Sure enough, Lord Ivan, after going in and talking to this woman for a few words, he quickly convinced the other party. Although still very arrogant, that annoying look has disappeared. The Lord is really amazing. He convinced Miss Charlie in just a few moves. What did he use to convince her? However, at this time, Shinobu on the side suddenly laughed and teased, and the words he used were a bit subtle. The 3 little girls didn't understand, but Albedo certainly understood. HMPH, this time should rely on actual combat to solve the problem. Lord Ivan's combat power is very strong. He can handle me easily, let alone this woman. So she said it directly, and even Shinobu's face was a little stiff. Her original intention was to embarrass Xiarli and make Albedo jealous, and watch the fun, but she didn't expect Albedo to expose herself. But Albedo didn't care about this. Anyway, since this woman dared to do it, what couldn't she, Albedo, say? It's not just this woman. She has also seen it. And she sees it every day. So there is nothing to envy about this. She was not jealous at all because there was one more person competing for Lord Ivan. Humph. Nonsense. Nonsense, Amas. I'm leaving first. I don't want to listen to women like you talking nonsense, Amas. In the confused eyes of the three sisters, Xiarli Leah snorted coldly, then got angry for no reason, and wanted to leave directly. Of course, her face was already red, although I didn't know whether it was anger or shame. This woman is really crazy, how dare she say such a thing directly? ... But it's true, if she wasn't crazy, she wouldn't have done something like fighting celestial dragons. Advertisement. I barely agree with this crazy woman, at least she is really wholeheartedly for Brother Ivan. Really leaving. Not sitting down anymore. At this time, Ivan still spoke, seeming a little reluctant. Well, indeed, after what happened before, he was a little reluctant. Anyway, it's okay now, and Xiarli Leah hasn't been here for a while, it's good to stay here for a few days. ... And because of what Albedo said, he even had a bold idea just now. If he did it that way, it would be very interesting. No, there are still things to do at home, Amas. After my father became the 5 elders of this generation, he gave me a lot of reforms. How can it be so easy, Amas? Huh, what reforms? When Ivan heard this, he couldn't help but be a little surprised. Listening to Xiarli's tone, it seems that there are really a lot of things to do. It's about the slave reform, Amas. He said that he heard that you have the idea of reform, but you don't know where to start, so my father said to start the reform and let me and other parties try to accept it or not, Amas, but don't tell others for the time being. For example, improve the lives of slaves, no torture, no R******, and you can regain your freedom after more than 10 years of slavery. Isn't this the idea you proposed yourself? XN. Is this kind of thing something that celestial dragons would think of? Hearing this, everyone present looked at Ivan. But let alone others, even Ivan himself was a little confused. He did say these things, but he was just talking casually. He didn't expect Xiarli to take it seriously, and her father also took it seriously. I forgot about it a long time ago. It doesn't seem realistic, but why would he leave this matter to you? You never take care of things. There's no way. He has been busy with that matter recently. How can he have time to manage this, Amas? What matter? It's Ohara, Amas. It is said that the scholars on that island want to study the historical text, so now they are thinking about destroying them. The order has been issued to use Buster Call. ... Alas, it really came. 17 The godmother, who lives among the flowers. Asking for collections, flowers, and evaluation votes. Advertisement. Lord Ivan, you seem to have been worried since just now. Is it because of the Buster Call? What did that mean just now? Yes, my lord, you can tell me if there is anything. Looking at Ivan sitting next to him in a daze on the sofa, Albedo and Shinobu finally couldn't help but ask. Almost an hour has passed since Xiarli left. It seemed that Master Ivan was thinking about something before, so they also left for a while, leaving him to ponder alone. As a result, now that so much time has passed, he still looks a little distracted. Is it because of the so-called Ohara and Buster Call before? ... Nothing, just some emotion. This is strictly prohibited. The Buster Call is to dispatch 10 marine warships, as well as a large number of marine elites, and then completely wipe the island off the map. It is estimated that there will not be any left. There are no traces of it. A group of scholars there are trying to kill themselves and want to explore the past history, so they have good intentions after all, but it's a pity that they encountered something they shouldn't touch. After Ivan thought for a while, he explained silently. But this sounds even more confusing. What happened to him? Speaks like a riddler. What is the past history? If I ask this, it won't be wiped out, Shinobu also asked curiously and joked. Of course, there is actually a bit of seriousness in it. It sounds like they are a group of people who are not bad people and are about to be wiped out by the world government. No, because I actually don't know it myself, but I just know that that period of history should not be explored. If you touch it, you are seeking death. Oh, that's when those people wanted to commit suicide. I thought it was something. ... Alas, it seems that we have indeed hit the bottom line. After hearing what Ivan said and Albedo nodding in agreement, Shinobu sighed slightly. It is indeed quite powerful to take risks and explore for unknown things. They should be mentally prepared themselves. The Lord may also know that their original intention is not to oppose the government, so he feels a little emotional. Of course, what she didn't know was that Ivan wasn't thinking about them at all. In Ivan's opinion, those Ohara scholars are really seeking death. If, like the Revolutionary Army, we had done some research in secret and explored while hiding, we wouldn't have ended up like that. Advertisement. Of course, if all those people were there, it would be detrimental to his current situation. After all, he is a celestial dragon. No matter what, he still has to think about his own interests and safety. Those people were actually trying to trick him, so no matter how many times he died, Ivan would never sympathize. What he was feeling emotional about was the little girl who was about to be hunted down. Of course, it's Robin. He has always been a pirate fan, and he once longed for the adventures of King Luffy and his friends. It's just that now he naturally doesn't think about those things. He only thinks about the girl over there at most. Wouldn't it be nice to live such a comfortable life every day? You have to play those hegemonic games like playing house. To be honest, if he rushes in by himself now, he can probably kill one of the 4 emperors. This is not bragging. Before the system came out, he was practicing hard and looking for special teachers for training. Maybe it's because he is very talented, so his training results have always been very good. You know, his Conqueror's Haki was not redeemed from the system mall, but was born with it, and it is the top-notch kind. In addition, he also exchanged some things later, such as Thunder Fruit, Thunder Breathing Technique, and so on, so now, his own strength is stronger than that of Wong Luffy 2 years later in the original work. Quite a few. Oh, let me explain a little bit, it doesn't mean that he can only choose Thunder Fruit. In fact, he can also buy existing fruits. But the more powerful Logia fruit already had its owner, so he might as well just get a Thunder Fruit. This one has no side effects and is not afraid of the seawater version, even though it cost him a full 1,000 points, which is 3 billion belly. But now that it's over, it's almost time to go there and ask a little about the situation. Master, where are you going? Go to my godmother's place and ask what's going on. You two don't have to come with me this time. Outsiders are not allowed in her place. X2. So do you still have a godmother? This is the first time I heard about this. But this is of course, not to mention them, even Charlie doesn't know about this and has never seen it. After all, his godmother lives in, between flowers. 18 My godmother is jealous. Please add me to your collection, give me flowers, and give me votes. Advertisement. Mariajoy, the deepest part of Pangu City, among the flowers. The towering ancient buildings seem to be abandoned here. The entire huge Mariajoy should have been thriving everywhere, with elegance and prosperity everywhere. But this place alone seems to have experienced a cruel war, without any life left at all. This place still hasn't changed, after all this time. But today, we welcomed a long-lost guest. Ivan walked silently on the relatively clean avenue in the middle, then looked at the surrounding environment and said with some emotion. But he didn't stay to observe carefully for long, but walked straight forward. Until, he walked to a huge throne. To be precise, it was in front of the black figure. The people who come to this place usually only include the 5 elders, who are the highest power in the world's government and stand at the pinnacle of the celestial dragons. And even they, in front of this figure, are only qualified to kneel on the ground. Godmother, long time no see. But when Ivan saw this figure, he didn't care at all. Instead, he walked over with a smile, walked directly in front of the other person, and then called out a very intimate name. Well, long time no see, Ivan. However, the other party was not angry. Instead, after looking him up and down, he responded softly. The voice was very calm, without any emotion, and maybe even a little hoarse because he didn't speak. But the sound is actually very pleasant, giving people a very gentle feeling. And it's even more so when paired with Ivan's perspective. In his eyes, what he saw was a beautiful mature woman. Her long silver hair was flowing down like a waterfall. Her delicate facial features were like works of art, and her temperament was calm and elegant. A pair of blood-colored, Rinnegan-like eyes were looking at him silently. Although she was wearing a loose black gauze dress, it could still be seen that her figure was plump and well-proportioned, and she was wearing an outer dress with a square-pointed hat. The overall feeling is that of a stunningly mature and beautiful young woman. And her name is, I Am. Well, it's the, I Am Sama, from One Piece. 14 years ago, when Ivan was still a little kid, he came here and took a look. After all, at that time, he couldn't go down casually, and looking at the boring celestial dragons around him, he would only feel disgusted. So when I was bored and wandering around, I found this place once. Someone blocked the door, but he still slipped in quietly, and then came in here. So I Am saw it. When he saw this stunning beauty for the first time, Ivan was immediately confused, and when he learned that the other person's identity was really that, I am, he was even more confused. Advertisement. It turns out that I am is a woman. However, I am was not angry at his appearance, and instead silently took him to visit many places. Maybe it was because few people came here, so she unexpectedly said a lot. Well, even though she looks very cold and stoic on the outside, she is actually surprisingly afraid of being alone. According to her own statement, she has lived alone for more than 800 years. Good guy, you really are immortal. But Ivan is also a master of taking advantage of every opportunity. After seeing the drama, I immediately started to cling to each other in various ways. Be coquettish, please, tease, praise, whatever makes her happy, do whatever you want. And I am probably didn't expect that the 6-year-old child in front of him would have so many thoughts in his heart. So I really like him and allow him to come in at any time. Later, he even recognized him as his adopted son. Sit here. Well, thank you, godmother. After hearing this promise from his godmother, Ivan also sat on it with a smile. He squeezed into the same throne as her and sat next to her. Well, although this position is in the original work, it looks very special. But he has actually sat here many times. The 5 elders also know these things, so they have been tolerating his behavior again and again, and in fact, it can be said that they listened to his words. It was only after knowing this that the 4 elders of the 5 elders allowed his daughter, Xiarli, to approach him. Maybe I was thinking of building a good relationship with him. It's not that the others don't want to, but they just have no choice. After all, they are all sons, not daughters. Well, godmother, I heard that you are planning to destroy Ohara. But Ivan didn't think much about it now and asked her directly. In fact, he had no worries about this person. She even knew that Albedo and the others were summoned by him, so Ivan always told her directly. It's secretive, but it still looks very hypocritical. Aren't you here to see me? Ahem, of course I want to see you. But what made him a little embarrassed was that after hearing this, his godmother actually looked a little disappointed and dissatisfied. I'm actually jealous. Im's image is inexplicably overlapped with Fate's wife. Although the final image may be completely different, since it is set like this here, let's just follow this. The image is based on the image of a person wearing black clothes. Ellie looks better. 19 The day when I become a king will come soon, please collect flowers and comment votes. Advertisement. Really? You didn't ask about my situation first. Well, no, I still care about your situation, godmother, but I feel relieved to see that you are still as beautiful as before. Seeing that the older sister next to him spoke a little bit intermittently, Ivan felt a lot of pressure instead, and quickly explained and flattered her. After so many years of getting along, he already knew the character of his godmother. In fact, she is not a person who cares so much about politics. On the contrary, she is just very lonely and has no one to pay attention to. And now, he is the only person she pays attention to. That's why she complained like this just now. In fact, she is also an unexpectedly childish person. Really, I don't feel anything, and it's useless. I'm not married. But you are my godmother. I feel very proud to have such a beautiful godmother, Don't tell anyone. Ahaha, I'm kidding, godmother. After feeling a flawless hand knife-like white jade gently knocking on his forehead, Ivan smiled and waved his hand, then shamelessly took Im's right hand, and then held it in his hand and gently pinched it. The soft and tender touch, it is hard to believe that she is an immortal who has lived for more than 800 years, but more like a newborn baby, the touch is very good. Of course, he didn't mean to have any thoughts in that regard. Even if he might have approached her with more interests at the beginning. But in the process of getting along gradually, Ivan really regarded her as his own family. Before Albedo and Shinobu appeared, Xiarli Leah was only half of it, and Im was his only real family. Godmother, elder sister, sometimes treated like a younger sister, but she is really an important person to him. Ohara, you did something wrong, it is unforgivable. Well, I know, I didn't ask you to stop, I'm just a little worried about your thoughts. If you feel pressure, you can tell me and let me share it. So, if she really feels pressure when doing these things, he also hopes to comfort her a little. No, I'm used to it, I don't feel it. However, Yimu didn't feel the kind of pressure he imagined, but simply used the usual, silent girl, way of speaking, answering slightly intermittently, like a robot. In fact, it's almost the same. Advertisement. For more than 800 years, she has actually been doing only one thing. It is forbidden to let people know the truth of the world's history. And this thing has been done since she was a child. Later, when she was left alone, she was still insisting on it, and she always stayed where she was. Because that is a place that cannot be touched, this is her mission and her destiny. It's not good to get used to it. For so many years, I have only known how to eliminate targets. It seems a bit boring. Godmother, do you want to go out for a walk? Quote. No, I'm here. I have a mission and can't leave. What mission? I can't tell you. Quote. Quote. Then don't keep me in suspense. After hearing this, Ivan couldn't help but roll his eyes and showed a helpless expression. When Yimu saw it, the corners of his mouth seemed to curl up a little. It seems that she has not become a real robot yet and still has her own feelings. Okay, you go back first. I'm busy. I'll start in a few days. Okay. Then Godmother, take care of yourself and rest. Hearing that the other party had ordered him to leave, Ivan was a little helpless, but he could only obey. But before he got up, he still approached Yimu, then stretched out his hands, hugged her, turned his head to the side, and rested his chin on Yimu's shoulder. If you have any worries, just tell me. I will come as soon as possible, Godmother. Quote. Yeah. Feeling the other party's intimacy, Imna's cold expression for 10,000 years also moved slightly, but then he regained his composure, and then gradually looked at Ivan's silent back until he disappeared completely. The mission is almost completed. Destiny has arrived, and no one can stop it. Ivan, the day when you become the king will come soon. 20 Albedo. Mother, please add to favorites, give flowers, and give ratings. Advertisement. Mariajoy, Astoria House, Courtyard. A stunning beauty wearing a white dress with a pair of pure black wings on her back and a pair of long horns on her head was looking uneasily in the direction of the door ahead. Why hasn't Lord Ivan come back yet? He spoke softly as if he was asking the girl wearing a butterfly headdress who was sitting next to her drinking tea, or as if she was mumbling to herself. And in this case, in this short period of time, I have been asked no less than 50 times. Miss Albedo, are you too worried? My lord has only been gone for about 2 hours. Don't be so anxious. Sit down and rest. Maybe he will be back soon. Who can be sure about this kind of thing? Maybe Lord Ivan has encountered something unexpected and is waiting for me to rescue him. Could it be that Mother wants Lord Ivan to stay? Or maybe, wait, my mother will come too. How about I dress up? Quote. Quote. This, Mother, is really easy to call. Hearing the pure white devil lady in front of him holding her cheek while starting her own fantasy, Shinobu couldn't help but complain a little in her heart, and then glanced at the 3 people not far away who were training hard. The girls. The anime has slowed down. If you can't complete the goal within 10 minutes, the training will be doubled. Yes. X3. Then he smiled and reminded the 3 of them, kindly. Soon, the 3 people who were originally exhausted became energetic in an instant and began to exercise their bodies quickly. It seems that people's potential is forced out. Although I gave him a slightly smaller amount of tasks because of the Lord's affairs. But they seem to have finished a lot less because they were distracted, which is not good. But, I don't know what kind of person the Lord's mother is. Although he knew he was not his biological child, the Lord never mentioned any relatives, and it seemed that he did not have any relatives. All members of his family died more than 20 years ago. The family itself is very small. In the year when the Lord was born, his father died of illness and his mother also died of childbirth, leaving only the Lord. Although he was born into such a wealthy family, he died for these reasons, which always seemed a bit strange. But no one ever said anything, and no one seemed to find it strange, as if it should be this way. When will Lord Ivan be able to come back? Here we go again. My lord has never left before. Does Miss Albedo need to be so nervous? But at this time, familiar words came from Albedo's mouth again, causing Shinobu to complain with a headache. Advertisement. Although she usually had a hard time dealing with Miss Albedo, she was too unstable in this state. Of course, it also reflects how deep her love for her lord is. Am I back now? So, I still don't know how to wait. Lord Ivan. X4. After a moment of daze, the 4 people present finally reacted to the familiar voice almost at the same time, and then ran over excitedly. Only one Shinobu shook his head slightly and sighed after seeing their immature behavior. Although, her body was the first to reach someone. Lord Ivan, you are not in danger. Have your mother done anything to you? Mother. Oh, you said my godmother, right, haha, your name is very interesting. I wonder if she would be happy if she heard it. After hearing this title, the owner of the new voice, Ivan, laughed and teased. If Albedo really called her mother to her face, Imganma would probably be a little happy. That person is actually quite childish, and if she is respected as an elder, she will be happy. Pleasure. Of course, he won't take anyone to see her just yet. My lord, you asked about that matter. Has there been any progress? Is it necessary to stop the Buster call? At this time, Ren also asked. Compared with Albedo, who jumped directly into Ivan's arms, and the other 3 girls who also jumped up and hugged his thigh, she still looked calmer and more rational. But judging from the fact that she was leaning slightly against Ivan's side and quietly pulling on his sleeve, she must be quite nervous now. After all, who knows what Ivan is going to do, whether it will be dangerous or something like that. But now it seems that there is no problem. No, that order continues to be carried out. I just went to check on my godmother and worry about her worries. Oh, that's good. Although the order to stop may cause many casualties, it doesn't matter, my lord, this is the most important thing. Yeah, but I have to go to the Marine headquarters, and then go with them to see. It's a final witness. X521 Marshal Sengoku, you took the wrong medicine. Asking for collections, flowers, and evaluation votes. Advertisement. Marine Headquarters, Marineford. This is an organization directly under the world government, which maintains security in the world's oceans in the name of absolute justice. It is the central part of the entire Marine organization, the strongest combat force of Marine, and one of the 3 major forces of the Grand Line. It is conceivable that here, not dispatching is the safest thing. But today, a relatively big move has taken place here. 10 warships, 5 vice admirals, and 5,000 soldiers are about to be dispatched. Go and destroy Ohara. Although there are still many people who do not understand it and are not willing to do so, the above command is absolute. There are things that cannot be explored, but as long as you touch them, it will be an absolute dead end. In order to ensure that justice is always carried out, the devil, Ohara must be destroyed. So when preparing to carry out a mission, most Marines proceed with the determination that they must complete it. We're just going to take a look. Is there anything we can't do? Sorry. No, that's the rule. However, now, there is a group of people here that make them a little depressed and shaken. Looking at the handsome young man in front of him, who was probably in his early 20s, and the group of very beautiful maids behind him, the person in charge of Marine couldn't help but feel a headache. To be honest, if anyone else dared to ask such a question, he would have slapped him. In the midst of such a serious and important military operation, a second-generation ancestor actually wanted to take a group of maids with them, treating it as tourism. However, even though he is vice admiral and his military rank is high enough, he still cannot speak too directly when facing the so-called celestial dragons. Then what if I have to go up? XN. Depend on. This rich second generation is not over yet. Not only the person in charge, but also the sailors present who heard it couldn't help but start to gear up. I was a little worried before. After all, existences like the celestial dragons are extremely wanton and do not do much harm to their marines. Many people even died directly for them. But when carrying out important tasks, basically no one came to interfere. They just cared about themselves. But who would have thought that this kid got the news from nowhere that they were going to eliminate Ohara, so he ran over directly and said he was going with them. Can this go? Not to mention how bad the impact would be after being seen by outsiders, it would have a very bad impact just on the inside of the Marine, especially the Marine soldiers who performed the mission together. Many of them become Marines out of a sense of justice in their hearts. But now, because of the wanton behavior of these people in power, it is too presumptuous to even be involved in such an important military operation. Then please forgive us for not being able to obey. This is the Marine headquarters, not your Mariajoy. We cannot allow you to mess around. Rejection is a given. But those who can directly say such things must be very courageous. Advertisement. The person who said this was a young man wearing an ordinary sailor hat. He had a serious face and cold eyes, like the coldest weapons. Of course, he is not really an ordinary sailor. On the contrary, his military rank is the highest here. Marine Vice Admiral Sakazuki, one of the future 3 admirals. His attitude was much firmer than that of the Marine just now, and his tone was just short of scolding. He had already boarded the ship and was ready to set off, but unexpectedly, the appearance of this group of people disrupted their departure time. You know, for this kind of thing, if you delay even a second, the plan may be leaked and people will run away. This group of celestial dragons really fails more than succeeds. A mere human dares to speak to Lord Ivan like this. Do you know your own weight? But at this time, the beautiful woman with a pair of wings behind her and horns on her head also looked at him with a somewhat angry expression, looking extremely angry. But he had heard this kind of attitude and words many times. This is what the minions around the stubborn disciples say. But that doesn't mean you have to listen to them. This is no child's play, this is Buster Call. Whether I have any weight or not, you are definitely not qualified to point fingers here. You, calm down, Albedo. Originally, the woman was about to have a seizure, but fortunately she was stopped by the young man on the side. This reduced one murder case. Of course, it's definitely not the woman's side. Not to mention the present, even the third Admiral Akainu in the future will never be Albedo's opponent. And in her rage, she would never let him go. Then how can we get up there? Unless there is permission from above, it is absolutely impossible. Let them go up. The higher-ups just sent a notice saying that they are allowed to visit. What? XN. But at this moment, a serious and helpless voice suddenly came from the side, which made everyone a little annoyed. Who is spreading nonsense here? But when they saw this person's identity, they couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Because the person who came over had a signature afro and goatee. Marshal Sengoku, you took the wrong medicine. 22 Sorry, celestial dragons can really do whatever they want, please collect flowers and review votes. Advertisement. How is this possible? How could something like this be allowed? It's crazy up there. After hearing the news, the marine officers present could not help but be dumbfounded, and began to question crazily. What a joke. Do you really want to take them with you at such a serious moment? How far will the higher-ups go to indulge them? Can the celestial dragons do whatever they want? Well, actually, that is indeed the case. Although they don't want to admit it, the rights of celestial dragons are indeed infinite. Marshal Sengoku, I hope to get a formal explanation. Sakazuki, who had previously vowed that he would not pass, now asked Sengoku with a livid face, and his eyes were about to burst into flames. After hearing his words, all the Marines naturally did not want to laugh at him, but all looked at Sengoku, wanting to get an answer. What does the upper level mean? The official explanation is this: let them go to one of the warships, but the premise is, Mr. Ivan, you must not disrupt this operation. Otherwise, we can only tie you up. However, Sengoku pondered for a moment and then gave the same answer. It can be seen that he is also very depressed and reluctant, but there is no way. Orders from above are absolute. Even though he had been promoted from admiral to marshal not long ago due to his outstanding military exploits, the orders that should be executed must still be executed. Fortunately, when it came to the latter part, he still regained a little momentum, which also made others feel a little relieved. If there is trouble, just deal with it directly. Of course, it's just a little bit. Allowing this exception is already difficult for them to accept. It doesn't matter, I just want to witness the disappearance of a piece of history. XN. But when they heard this, the expressions of many Marines present changed slightly. Because to be honest, they were actually a little emotional. Advertisement. Ohara is a holy place for famous historians, but it is really uncomfortable for a place like this to be completely destroyed. But does this celestial dragons actually have this idea? Thinking of this, everyone also looked at Ivan and looked at him carefully. He seems quite different from the ordinary celestial dragons. He doesn't have that superior and arrogant look on his face, nor does he wear that disgusting bubble hood. It feels much better. Of course, even if it is really emotional, it is still very uncomfortable to get involved like this. Really, no matter what, I hope Mr. Ivan will not interfere in our affairs. Then let's go up. Time has been delayed a bit. Kuzan, just take them up. After hearing Sengoku's words, a tall, slender man wearing reflective glasses also showed a somewhat depressed look, obviously not wanting to accept it. Yes, you did a good job, don't be lazy this time. Okay, I get it. The man named by Sengoku also scratched his messy hair with his hand in frustration, and replied lazily. He seemed to have no energy at all, which was not the posture that his vice admiral should have. But after seeing that it was him, the Marines around him breathed a sigh of relief. Marshal Sengoku is indeed a marshal, and he was immediately optimized at this time. Among the 5 vice admirals to participate, Kuzan and Sakazuki are both Logia's demon fruit powers, and are also the strongest. But Sakazuki's temper was seen just now. If the celestial dragons really take any action by then, he might really get into trouble. But it's different when it comes to Kuzan. Although he is lazy, he is never vague when it's time to do serious things, and he does things very steadily and is very popular. In a few years, there should be a chance to be promoted to admiral. With him here, you can feel completely at ease. It's just that Kuzan himself didn't actually think that way. Not only him, but also Sakazuki and Sengoku were also quietly looking at Ivan. To be honest, they didn't know why, but they could feel an inexplicable sense of oppression from this young man. Is it an illusion? But this sense of oppression even seems to be shrinking because it is too strong, but it is still a powerful feeling that cannot be hidden. Could it be said that this young man is still some kind of peerless master? No, they probably thought too much. No matter what, just carry out the task now. 23 soldiers approaching Ohara. Please add to favorites, flowers, and ratings. Advertisement. Master Ivan, the coffee has been brewed, please use it slowly. Well, thank you for your hard work, Albedo, let's go inside and rest first. After taking a gentle sip of the steaming coffee in front of him and feeling the slightly bitter but refreshing taste spread throughout his body, Ivan also showed a smile of satisfaction and joy on his face. Yes. Seeing this scene, Albedo also smiled and walked into the room inside, without hanging around Ivan as usual. Because she knew that Lord Ivan now wanted to be alone for a while. After she left, Ivan looked around quietly. The calm sea surface, the warm sunshine, and the calls of seagulls that came from time to time in the sky all gave him a sense of tranquility. But who would have thought that the island not far in front of the ship was about to be bombed? Hey, Mr. Ivan, you look really comfortable. Do you mind if I sit here? But at this moment, a slightly lazy voice suddenly came from the side. A tall man with messy hair walked over silently and asked with a relaxed expression. Whatever, but I'll make the coffee myself. Haha, I don't expect anyone to help me. Well, it tastes really good. Rich people know how to enjoy it. The tall man chuckled, then sat down and made himself a cup. After tasting it, he couldn't help but sigh. The taste of this coffee is 100 times stronger than what Vice Admiral usually drinks. He really enjoys it. If you like it, come and work here. With your ability, you can enjoy this kind of treatment every day. Haha, let's forget it. Personally, I still want to continue to hang out in Marine. It was obviously a very bad thing to say, but the tall man still said it shamelessly with a smile, and then glanced at the deck below. They were on the upper level now, which was relatively cleaner. Moreover, they were just at the bow of the ship, and they were the only ones there. But the atmosphere below was too solemn. Everyone's faces were full of seriousness, and they didn't say a word, as if the space was frozen. Alas, it's really not exciting to attack this place. Are you just messing around? I feel like your values are much stronger than many Marines. Haha, what you said seems to know me very well. I can tell you're a good Marine, Kuzan Vice Admiral. After hearing this, Kuzan's eyes became slightly complicated, and then he looked at Ivan with interest. You are quite special. This is the first time I have seen a celestial dragons like you. You are indeed worthy of your reputation. You are really different. Advertisement. It's not like I haven't seen celestial dragons before, but they are just scum that exudes a rotten smell. But this young man, indeed, he had really heard that there seemed to be an alternative among the celestial dragons, which was completely different from the other celestial dragons. There's no difference. They and I just live a luxurious life, but we're just a little more personal than them. Haha, you are quite interesting, but I am a little curious. Are you really here just to see the destruction of Ohara? For some reason, he always felt that this young man seemed to have some other purpose. Could it be that they were worried that they would let those Ohara scholars go? Haha, what else? Could it be that I am worried that you will become soft-hearted and unable to take action, so I came to monitor you? This person has quite sharp ideas. Don't worry, if that's really the case, I won't come here in person. I'm just a little emotional. I can only say that I used to like this place, but if they want to do something to harm the world government, we must also to eliminate them. Looking at the calm young man in front of him, Kuzan couldn't help but look a little surprised. Unexpectedly, this celestial dragons would actually say such serious words. Although it should be correct from his own perspective, it may indeed be correct from the perspective of the world government. Boom. XN. It has begun. After hearing this voice, Kuzan's expression also changed slightly. His ship and the one next to it haven't opened fire yet, but there are 10 ships coming, and there are others from several directions. They have almost all started firing. It seems that there is still something to negotiate at the beginning. If possible, just arrest those scholars. Unfortunately, they also knew that the possibility was very low, so they sent 10 warships over. Sure enough, the bombing has already begun over there. Report. News came from Ship A. Saul Vice Admiral was found on the shore fleeing in another direction. He seemed to be holding a little girl in his hands. The bombing of Ohara has begun. But at this moment, the messenger below suddenly started shouting, which made Kuzan a little nervous. Ashore. Yes. XN. That idiot Saul, stop messing around. 14 and 15 are actually in harmony with each other. I'm depressed. It's just pinyin, but it's still harmonious. It's so upsetting that I haven't dared to post it. I'm only posting it now that I've recovered. Please support me with flowers. The next few chapters should be it's a bit of an exciting plot. 24 Saul and Robin failed to escape. Please collect flowers, evaluation votes. Advertisement. Saul, are you really okay? You were hit just now. It hurts a lot. Today is a very painful day for Robin. I finally met my mother, but soon I had to say goodbye forever. Now the entire island is under attack, the doctors are also killed, Saul is still injured, and he is still escaping with her. How many more bad things are going to happen? How long will it continue? It doesn't matter. Robin, this little thing is nothing to me. Hey. You have to have confidence in my power, and we will continue to live together in the future. Really? Of course. You still have a long life ahead of you. Fortunately, after seeing her new friend Saul give her a strange and familiar laugh, she suddenly felt a lot more at ease. No matter what, as long as Saul is here, she can persevere forever. Although Saul himself knew that this was unlikely. My body is too big and it is impossible to hide it. Therefore, even if he takes Robin with him, he will only harm her. But Robin herself is different. She is very smart and has the ability of devil fruit. As long as she can escape, she will definitely survive. The most important thing is that she is still too young, she still has a lot of beautiful youth, and the future is waiting for her. Discover Saul Vice Admiral. X2. However, as soon as I thought of this, my vision just widened. The two huge warships that appeared ahead still plunged him and Robin into despair again. No, it looks like we are going to take action. Robin, stay here for now, we're going to rush out later. Saul turned around and put the confused and nervous Robin on the ground, and then he rushed out and rushed towards the two warships. The artillery fire from behind has become louder and louder, and many places have sunk to the bottom of the sea under the attack of artillery shells. And even those that have not been bombarded are now shrouded in endless smoke, and it is only a matter of time before they sink. Therefore, he must take action now. Fire. Advertisement. And following the artilleryman's order, more than 10 artillery shells were quickly fired at Saul. But Saul did not choose to dodge, but forcefully resisted all those nearby. Although with his size, coupled with the fact that he was seriously injured during this period and his strength has significantly declined, it is very difficult to avoid these, but it is not completely impossible to avoid. Mainly worried about Robin being injured. But he is a giant after all, and he is able to achieve the position of Vice Admiral. His physical fitness is still excellent, and he actually managed to carry it. And when he saw it, he was about to overturn a warship. No matter what, let's grab a warship first and then coax Robin out. Otherwise, there is really only a dead end here. But unfortunately, his wishful thinking soon came to nothing. Because the moment before he touched the warship, his huge fist and his arm were suddenly turned into an ice sculpture. This is, Kuzan Vice Admiral, XN. The Marines, who originally thought they were about to be bombarded, couldn't help but start cheering after seeing this scene. At this time, a tall and slender figure was already standing on the guardrail of the warship, with his hands in his pockets and silently looking at Saul. Kuzan. Seeing this figure, Saul couldn't help but look almost desperate in his eyes. Although he has been his friend for many years, because of this, he knows better that this person's strength is definitely not something that he can compete with now. Damn it, I just found him. But in fact, Kuzan himself has no choice. According to his original plan, he planned to go down by himself first, and then let Saul try to overturn the two warships or something, and wait until there was confusion. Of course, it didn't mean that he wanted to let Saul and the girl go on purpose, it was just that he had something he wanted to ask Saul about. Because he himself still had some doubts about this mission. He knew that it was impossible for his friend to really help a terrorist escape. The world government's order to directly destroy the island also made him question his sense of justice for the first time, so here, he wanted to ask a little bit. However, the plan was disrupted. Oh, you were very decisive in taking action. I thought you would let the ship capsize before taking action. Quote. Hearing the man not far away making slightly teasing remarks to him, Kuzan couldn't help but click his tongue in his heart. Because of the existence of this kid, he couldn't let go. 25 Betrayal Aokiji. Angry Shinobi, please collect flowers, evaluation votes. Advertisement. Saul, just go ahead and capture him. Given your situation, you won't be punished too much. He ignored the cheers of the sailors and the teasing of Ivan on the side. Kuzan looked directly at Saul, who was not far across the way, and then spoke calmly. In fact, the punishment will definitely not be light. He helped Nicole Orvia escape before, and now he wants to attack the warship again, which is an added crime. But that's all I can say now. It shouldn't be the death penalty anyway. Of course, the premise is that he no longer continues to cause trouble and is willing to admit his guilt when he returns. Who cares about that kind of thing? Kuzan, do you think this is okay now? Quote. But if Saul was really afraid, he wouldn't do such a thing. He asked Kuzan directly and loudly, leaving Kuzan speechless for a moment. From a personal emotional point of view, he didn't want to take action. But now that he was the Marine Vice Admiral, with so many Marines watching, and even the Celestial Dragons watching, he couldn't act emotionally. You surrender, I will try my best to save this girl. But he also had the courage to say this directly in front of everyone. No matter what kind of war it is, it has nothing to do with a little girl. Moreover, the evacuation ship is also being evacuated now. There should be no problem in keeping this child. This girl is Nicole Orvia's daughter. Are you sure you can save her? What? XN. Quote. But at this time, Ivan on the side suddenly said such a sentence, but all the Marines, including Kuzan, couldn't help but be confused. Nicole Orvia. Isn't this one of the culprits who investigated the historical text before and was wanted for Harmony Grass and escaped, causing the entire Ohara to be destroyed now? If this girl is really her daughter, it is absolutely impossible to let her go. After Saul heard this, he looked at Ivan with a livid face. Robin itself has similar facial features to Orvia, so the longer he stays, the more dangerous he becomes. It would be great if we could take advantage of this opportunity and hide on the evacuation ship. But now, this unknown man's words have completely blocked this road. Kuzan. The child is innocent. She has no idea what happened. If you want to take her back now, there is absolutely no chance that she will survive. We Marines are not supposed to protect ordinary people. Talent right. Therefore, at this time, Saul also began to play the emotional card. In front of so many people, playing this kind of card actually looks more or less stupid. How could the just Marine let the evil escape before his eyes? Advertisement. But in fact, after hearing Saul's words, more than half of the approximately 2,000 sailors on the two ships showed unbearable expressions. The Marines who can be at the headquarters are naturally elites, and many of them have worked hard to become stronger with the mentality of helping others. What's more, there are many people in them who are dissatisfied with this action. What's the point of not killing so many pirates but coming to kill the old, weak, women and children here? So many people looked towards Kuzan, and some even wanted to ask for mercy. Of course, no one dares to speak. If he speaks, he may even be in danger. Kuzan also sighed heavily at this time, but his eyes were still a little sharp as he spoke. Quote. It is true that we have to fight to protect ordinary people, but I can't confirm her danger now. In short, give her to me first, and we will make long-term plans. Boom. XN. But just when Kuzan was about to continue explaining, a refugee ship that was leaving not far away was suddenly hit by a cannonball. And what followed was dozens of violent gunshots. Is this your justice, Kuzan? That be ********************. Seeing this scene, Saul couldn't help roaring in pain and disbelief, and he didn't dare to look at Robin behind him, who had a look of despair on his face. Kuzan and the remaining sailors also stared at the refuge ship in shock and anger. The direction of firing is from one side. This is the location of the warship where Sakazuki is located. Damn it. That be ********** didn't even let the refuge ship go. Quote. The matter has come to this, and some things may only go so far. Take out the piece of raft and let her go. But Kuzan Vice Admiral, I will bear all the responsibilities. After saying this, Aokiji suddenly stretched out his right hand and pointed it at Ivan. An icicle passed by and instantly sealed his entire body in a huge ice block. XN. Seeing this scene, all the sailors present were dumbfounded. But they all reacted quickly, as if they were shocked by something, their eyes became determined, and then they all started to turn around, pretending not to see what was about to happen. Allah, he actually froze his lord. This is not appropriate, he obviously hasn't heard the whole story yet. However, at this tense moment, a gentle and magnetic girl's voice suddenly sounded from inside the deck. A beautiful girl dressed like a butterfly also walked out slowly, with a seemingly gentle but somewhat sinister smile on her face. Following closely, there was an angel woman with an extremely pale face, as if she wanted to eat people. It's rare for me to be a little angry this time, Miss Albedo, please don't argue with me. HMPH. I'm too lazy to deal with this kind of waste, you can handle it yourself. 26 I originally wanted to chop your neck off, please collect flowers and comment votes. Advertisement. The two women just talked casually as if there was no one around, and walked out parallel to each other. But what they said seemed a bit weird. Does this mean, do you want to fight Kuzan Vice Admiral? Although I don't know how confident they are in themselves, this is absolutely impossible. Kuzan Vice Admiral's strength is also quite high among Vice Admirals. It is very possible to become an admiral anytime. Just these two people. Oh no, to be precise, it's such a young and lovely lady. Isn't this too much? But in fact, the two of them have no intention of joking at all. Both of them walked straight to Ivan who was frozen, then gently stretched out their hands and touched the big ice cube, and then they both breathed a sigh of relief. The middle was empty, and there was no ice inside. It was just to temporarily put him into chaos, and prevent him from letting Robin stay. Really, Even if they knew he was fine, they would still have some reaction. I will be worried subconsciously. But even if it is confirmed that nothing is wrong, their current anger cannot be dispelled so easily. The two people suddenly raised their heads, and then the aura of the two people suddenly increased suddenly, and they disappeared instantly. Kuzan, who originally felt something was wrong, couldn't help but widen his pupils for a moment, and then subconsciously rushed towards Robin below. Ah, Mr. Kuzan, has he forgotten me? But in the middle of the rush, Kuzan suddenly felt a ghostly figure appearing next to him, and a purple light suddenly flashed across his eyes, making him subconsciously turn sideways and activate elementalization. Stupid. A sharp slash directly opened a crack in Kuzan's body, and it turned into ice cubes on both sides in midair. There is also bright red blood at the base. Kuzan, who was forced to retreat, had already recovered his figure, and put the palm of his left hand on his right shoulder. After seeing his blood flowing continuously, he gritted his teeth and directly cut the wound. Frozen, he looked back at Robin not far away. But by this time, it was too late. Because beside her, there is already a stunning beauty with two attributes of devil and angel interacting with each other. Just standing next to her seemed to have sentenced her to death. This is too scary, right? The Marines on the warship couldn't help but be completely dumbfounded at this time. Especially when there were some people who were mocking them in their hearts just now, they couldn't help but swallow their saliva subconsciously. Unexpectedly, even Kuzan Vice Admiral was injured. This was the first time they saw it. If it had been them, they would have been slaughtered just now. Advertisement. Ah, I didn't expect Mr. Kuzan's reaction to be quite fast. I couldn't have thought that it was just relying on fruit abilities. I didn't expect that physical skills are also very strong. It's a pity. I originally wanted to cut off your neck directly. But at this time, the gentle voice coming out of Ren's mouth no longer sounded gentle to them. Of course, what she said was not gentle to begin with, but just like her eyes now, full of coldness. Although they had not come out before, they could actually see it clearly from inside the deck. Kuzan wanted to let the little girl escape and seal the Lord's mouth, so he froze him directly. And the sailors also pretended not to see it, just trying to fool this matter. Originally, if they didn't take action against the Lord, they wouldn't bother to worry about it. The Lord would make his own decision anyway. But unexpectedly, he actually took action directly. Although this little ice cube is not enough to cool down the Lord, the fact that he dares to take action is already annoying enough. That is to say, this person hid quickly, otherwise, she would have killed him as a ghost. And Kuzan's face looked ugly. At that moment, I really felt the long-lost sense of crisis, and I almost moved my head. Robin. At this time, Saul also reacted and rushed towards Robin, trying to drive away Albedo next to her. Although the ice cubes on my hands are still there, without Kuzan's restrictions, I can still move freely. PFF'd. But unfortunately, as soon as he got closer, he was immediately stopped by a magic circle on Albedo's outstretched right hand, and then flew backwards for more than 30 meters. Saul. Robin was also crying and shouting at this time, generally wanting to run out. But just as he was about to lift his feet, he suddenly felt that he had lost control of his legs. The reason for this is probably the fear caused by Albedo's direct gaze from above and behind. Don't move. I didn't kill him, but if you move, the result may not be certain. Quote. After hearing these words without any emotion, little Robin swallowed subconsciously, and then stood where he was. Quote. What are you going to do? Ah, we should ask Mr. Kuzan about this, right? As a Marine, it is not appropriate to let the enemy go. Of course, I can't bear to kill such a cute child directly, either. Let's discuss it after everyone gets together. Quote. In that case, this child will have no chance of survival. Don't worry about the strength of the battle. The nin here is not the nin in the original work. The strength is definitely different. There is Ivan's bonus, so don't worry about the battle strength. In addition, please support with flowers, evaluation tickets, monthly passes, etc. 27 She belongs to me, it's not your turn to point fingers, please collect flowers, evaluation votes. Advertisement. You guys are really cruel. This will scare people. Ah, Lord, you don't have the right to say such things now. You can come out of the ice directly. Why do you have to stay in it for so long? It's so hot, some ice is not bad. After hearing the gentle complaints of the girl next to him, someone who had just escaped from the ice wall also silently replied, and then continued to touch the ice wall next to him. It felt quite comfortable in such a hot day, so he didn't come out. As a result, such a big battle was made. If he didn't come out, Aokiji might be killed by Shinobu. You know, Shinobu's physical fitness was directly strengthened by her to an outrageous degree. Even if he was against the real admiral in the future, he would have a great chance of winning, not to mention the current one. Aokiji just wanted to make him panic and let Robin take the opportunity to escape, so he should be spared from the attack. Do you want to have some too? So, he also looked at the two figures, one big and one small, not far away on the opposite side and asked. One was a young and cute lowly, and the other was a giant uncle as big as a mountain. This combination looked quite strange, but they themselves did not feel anything. Ha ha ha. No need, look at me now, is it necessary to do this? Unlike Robin who glanced at him coldly, Saul was still very cheerful and complained about Ivan directly. After all, his hands and feet were now handcuffed by Kuzan's ice chains, and he couldn't break free at all. In addition, Saul didn't faint or die suddenly after Albedo's attack just now, which was considered tough enough. Now, the battle on their side is over. Saul and Robin have now surrendered. Of course, they were forced to surrender. Robin has been controlled, Saul is seriously injured, and Kuzan has already done something wrong. At that time, it is meaningless to make the same mistake again. In the end, it naturally became like this. That's right, little guy, do you want it? No need. After hearing Ivan ask her again, little Robin refused again, and put her hands on Saul's arms, obviously alerting him. Alas, I obviously saved her, but now I am treated like a bad guy. But now is not the time to care about such things. Ivan raised his head silently, and then looked at the 8 huge warships that were heading towards them not far away. Now, more than 90% of the Ohara land has been bombed into the sea. The last bit left is only here. Advertisement. After hearing the news from them, the other warships also converged here little by little. Especially Kuzan, who had been on the phone with the vice admirals of several other ships since just now, so they also rushed over. Soon, the other 4 vice admirals and the remaining elite officers also came down from the warships above and came to Ivan and his team. Kuzan, what is going on? If Nicole Oravia's daughter and Saul were captured and brought directly to the ship, why did it take so long? The first person to speak was Sakazuki. His tone was very cold and full of questioning. As soon as he opened his mouth, it felt as if Kuzan had done something wrong and he came to point it out harshly. Of course, in fact, this is all good. He didn't know that Kuzan was going to let Robin go just now, otherwise, it would definitely not be just this level of questioning. You also said that they were all captured, so what else can I do? It's almost over. Kuzan also pretended as if nothing had happened, and answered lazily. Although, he also glanced at Ivan. If it weren't for him, Robin should have been sent out before, but now he is forced to stay. Speaking of which, I want to ask you, why did you open fire on the refugee ship? When he said this, even Kuzan's tone was more serious than usual. There may be scholars from Ohara hiding in there. For the sake of safety, I chose to open fire. I don't think there is any problem. In the end, all the hidden dangers of Ohara must be eliminated. However, Sakazuki did not have the slightest intention of reflecting on anything. Instead, he looked righteous, which made Kuzan and many people present frown after hearing it. But no one could say anything. Everyone has a different definition of justice. In fact, from a rational point of view, he can be understood. Ha ha ha. Well said, Vice Admiral Sakazuki. But if this little girl is still alive, it would be easier to deal with. Her mother is dead anyway, and she is the last remnant. Taking her back would be a special explanation. Ha ha ha. But at this moment, a unique and disgusting laugh suddenly sounded from the side. A middle-aged black-haired man in a coat was laughing wildly with a smug look on his face. And the more he laughed, the uglier Robin's face looked. Because she knew this man, it was he who pressed the Buster Call button, which led to this tragedy. Originally, the scholars and her mother might have just been captured and taken back, instead of dying like this. Did you misunderstand something? I didn't plan to give this child to you. XN. But at this moment, Ivan, who had been sitting aside and had not spoken, suddenly spoke up. All the Marines present, including Robin himself, were dumbfounded. She belongs to me now, it's not your turn to make decisions. 28 Misfortune comes from the mouth. Please collect flowers and evaluation votes. Advertisement. It has to be said that when someone didn't speak, everyone present was dumbfounded, including Robin himself. If he hadn't revealed her identity before, Robin might have run away. Of course, at that time, Robin would not be willing to talk to Saul as Guy, so he would probably still be exposed. But what does he mean by suddenly saying this now? Could it be that you want to save Robin? After thinking about this possibility, Saul couldn't help but get excited. If that's the case, that would be great. At first, he was quite worried about Ivan. After all, He had no idea why this person appeared here, why he had two such powerful servants around him, and why he knew many secrets. So since before, he has actually been very nervous, not knowing whether Ivan would let Robin go. As a result, listening to Ivan's words, it seems that he really wants to save Robin. No matter what, if this can happen, then there shouldn't be any problem for Robin to survive. You are so brave, you dare to say such things. Don't you know that you are a prisoner now? XN. But at this time, the proud middle-aged man in a suit suddenly said very arrogant and mocking words to Ivan, which made all the Marines present who knew Ivan's identity have very strange expressions. Got up. You know, they have all met Ivan at the Marine headquarters before, and they know that he is a genuine celestial dragons. And not just any celestial dragons. If the celestial dragons just wanted to cause trouble, even they wouldn't tolerate it and might just set off. Unexpectedly, the superiors actually issued a notice asking him to come with him. This shows that the identity of this young celestial dragons is definitely extraordinary. Unfortunately, although the man in the suit had previously obtained a golden phone bug from Marshal Sengoku and was able to activate the buster call, he had already left. It was also because he reported that the people on Ohara's side were unruly and couldn't communicate at all. They had to issue a buster call mission, so the headquarters sent troops. Now that he's speaking directly to the celestial dragons, he might be in trouble. Prisoner. Hee, what's your name? A prisoner also wants to know my name. Forget it. Seeing that you are about to die, I will tell you kindly, lest you become an unjust ghost. My name is Spandine, and he is the one responsible for this buster call. The initiator. Get rid of Ohara, the great hero. Ha 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 ha. XN. I have to say that the image this person displayed really deserves a beating. Especially now, a lot of places have just been bombed, and even the evacuation ships have been bombed, so some Marines are not in a good mood right now. Advertisement. But this guy looked proud and took all this kind of thing as his own credit to show off. Some people even wonder if he deliberately made up this kind of thing and deliberately destroyed the island to become a hero. Of course, this is actually a bit too big for him. If the world government did not even have this ability to judge, it would not have been able to survive for so many years. I see. No wonder it has reached this point step by step. It seems that you have contributed a lot in this. Of course, I have made too many contributions here. Why, do you want to beg me for mercy and live? That depends on whether you have made any mistakes, and your sincerity, already. XN. It has to be said that what he said above can barely be regarded as his own bragging, which is due to his character. But the last word has an obviously different meaning. He looked at Albedo and Shinobi who were beside Ivan, and there was an expression of interest in their eyes, which made many sailors present couldn't help but frown. All I can say is, after all, there are so many people in public places. Even if you really have that intention, please stop it, okay? It's disgusting. But at this time, Spangdine had already begun to drift. Now that he has become a big hero, all kinds of beautiful life will definitely be waving to him in the future. Although I will not worry about women in the future, these two women are indeed quite good looking. It is obviously unnecessary to leave them to such an unlucky guy. It is better to leave them to him. ... Of course, as soon as these words came out, many people knew that something was definitely wrong. Although he may not be a good person, at any rate, he is still considered a hero, in terms of status. He can't be killed directly, right? But, do it, Albedo, Shinobi. Yes. X2. Is it necessary to care who you are? Ivan gave a faint order, and the two beautiful figures next to him responded at the same time, and then disappeared instantly. Kuzan and Sakazuki reacted quickly enough, and they had a premonition that something bad was going to happen, so they stopped in front. One ice and one magma instantly became two distinct worlds, but this time they did not contradict each other, but complemented each other. However, at the next moment, a purple and a black light rushed towards them, directly forcing the two energy shields through each other. Ahem. The two powerful Marine Vice Admirals couldn't help but transform back into their physical bodies and retreated to Spangdine. However, the strong pressure made them both spit out a mouthful of blood at the same time. What are the backgrounds of these two women? 29 I am soft-hearted, just cut off my tongue, please collect flowers, evaluation votes. Advertisement. How is this possible? What kind of monsters are these two women? Oops, can't you stop it? For the Marine soldiers present, the scene happening in front of them must be unforgettable for the rest of their lives. It can even be called a psychological shadow. The two most powerful Vice Admirals on their side, Frozen Fruit and Lava Fruit, two Logia fruit power users, were actually beaten back during a confrontation and vomited blood. You know, these two are popular candidates for the Admiral position. In a few years, they will be directly promoted to Admiral. It is basically a certainty. But such a strong man was actually defeated by two seemingly delicate and cute women. Of course, it would not be an exaggeration to say that he was defeated. Although the two were forced to retreat and vomited some blood, they could not be said to have lost their combat effectiveness. It's just that the eyes of the two of them now are more solemn than those of the other Marines, their eyes fixed on Shinobu and Albedo opposite. Only when they are in contact can you feel what kind of powerful power these two seemingly weak girls have in their bodies. Ah, Mr. Kuzan seems to be a good person, but a man who keeps getting in the way is quite annoying. Why are you talking so much nonsense? I think we can just kill him together. Anyway, I think this magma man is quite unhappy. He also made rude remarks to Lord Ivan before. At this time, Shinobu and Albedo themselves were still in the same state as before. One has a soft smile on his face, and the other is cold and elegant, but the usual smile has disappeared, replaced by the bottomless murderous intent when he looks at Spangdine. Her body belongs only to Master Ivan. How dare any trash covet her? As for Ren, she was actually not that angry. She was soft-hearted, after all. Anyway, he just said the wrong thing. If that's the case, then just cut out his tongue. He beats and kills people at every turn, it's so violent. You, who are you? Wait, come and protect me quickly. I am the great hero of Marine, and I must not let these demons hurt me. Kill them directly, and him. Let's go together. Spangdane was naturally panicked at this time, and because of the way Kuzan and the others had retreated, he was subconsciously frightened and his legs became weak, and he collapsed on the ground with a look of horror on his face. He had a chance to win, and it felt like the whole world was in his hands, so he felt a little complacent just now. After all, isn't it only natural for a great hero like him to be paired with a few stunning beauties? So there should be nothing wrong with what you just did. But who would have thought that these three people were simply lunatics? They would dare to attack even a great hero like him, and they were so strong. Advertisement. But by now, he has been convinced that these three people must be Oharas, devils, just like the two criminals next to them. So go together and just kill them all. XN. But the Marine soldiers, all looking at me, I looked at you, even the three remaining vice admirals on the side, were a little undecided for a moment, so they could only get closer to Spangdine, so as not to he was just slaughtered. But you said that you want them to attack Albedo and the others, or even kill Ivan. Depend on looking for death. They want to live longer. Quote. Although he has a bad mouth, he is from the world government. You should not attack him casually. We will report it to the superiors. Compared with the others who were all silent, Sakazuki was the first to speak at this time. He looked at Ivan, his eyes full of confusion, but he still answered coldly. He still sounded very cold, as if he was following procedures, but now his tone had softened a bit and was not as tough as before. After all, they also know that it is their side who is at fault first, and they deserve to encounter this kind of thing even if they say such things. But after all, he is also a member of the world government, and he is so upright, so he can't just watch him being killed, right? No need, I'm from above. Just kill him. If you don't want to die, just get out of the way. But Ivan was not as talkative as usual this time, but spoke coldly and silently. Anyway, I was extremely unhappy with this guy before. Now that I have offended him, how long will it take if I don't get rid of him? What a loud tone, who do you think you are? He's a celestial dragons. Quote. Celestial dragons. What? Originally, Spangdine still retorted with disdain, but after hearing Sakazuki's explanation, his face gradually became bloodless and livid. Saul, who had been watching silently from the side, couldn't help but widen his pupils and stared at Ivan, having the same thought as Spangdine in his mind. Why are the celestial dragons here? 30 gods sanction. Asking for collections, flowers, and evaluation votes. Advertisement. Saul had doubted Ivan's identity before. Appearing directly on the warship, and the salary seems to be quite high, and even if he does some outrageous behavior, he is forgiven, and his subordinates are still so powerful. All of this is a mystery, which Saul has always been very puzzled by. But if he is a celestial dragons, then all this can be explained. Robin on the side still looked confused, but he knew very well what celestial dragons were. The only thing he couldn't understand was why he, a celestial dragons, would appear in such a place in person. No, it's impossible. How can you be a celestial dragons? You don't look like it at all. Of course, the most puzzling and worrying thing now is not him, but Spangdine. After he heard these words, his murderous intention, which was still raging, suddenly became completely confused, and the thoughts in his head seemed to be fragmented in an instant. When he came back to his senses, he naturally denied all this as a matter of course, and angrily scolded Ivan. What a joke. Celestial dragons are the existence that he has always envied the most. How could such a person be a celestial dragons? Well, it's not surprising to have such thoughts. A person like Spangdane can tell at a glance that he is used to being domineering and wants to keep climbing. He is extremely ambitious. Therefore, beings like celestial dragons, who are at the pinnacle of power and can do whatever they want, are naturally the ones he envies the most. Of course, he himself knows that there is no hope in this life, so he can only be an existence similar to celestial dragons, which is quite satisfying. But who could have known that he would actually hit the wall now? I came here just out of curiosity. Why would you want to die in such a good place and do such a thing? But I didn't expect that there is someone here who is even more seeking death. Tell me, how do you want to die? What? Are you really celestial dragons? When Spangdane heard this, his face turned pale. Originally, he didn't want to accept it at all, but the people around him seemed to be calm and had no intention of refuting. Having been immersed in officialdom for many years, he naturally knew that there was no hint of lying in this. This is real. Oh my god. Why did he mess with the real celestial dragons? Aren't the celestial dragons supposed to all be in the Sabayati archipelago and wear bubble hoods or something? Why? Well, advertisement. Thinking of this, he suddenly thought of someone, and then his face became paler. Does it count if I have to carve the word celestial dragons on my face? No, no, no. Are you Saint Ivan Loss? Oh, you know me. I know. Of course I know your famous name. Ivan was also a little surprised when he heard the other party call him this name. But when he heard that he actually admitted it, Spangdane quickly knelt down and kowtowed to him hastily. The most alternative celestial dragons are almost isolated from all celestial dragons, but they have always acted recklessly, and in some aspects they are just like ordinary people. When I first heard about this person, I ridiculed him, saying that as a celestial dragon, he still had the same thoughts as a commoner. He was really not worthy of being a celestial dragon, so he might as well let him be the one. But now when he actually saw it, he realized that he was too stupid. No matter what the celestial dragon's ideas are, it's not his turn to question them. Saul on the side also had a strange look on his face after hearing it. Although he has never seen one, as the Marine Vice Admiral of the headquarters and having lived for so many years, he has naturally heard of such an alternative celestial dragons. He had even praised Ivan at the beginning, saying that if the celestial dragons were like him, there would be a lot less things in the world. I just didn't expect that it would be Ivan. Oh, but that has nothing to do with me wanting to kill you. Wait a minute. I am a member of the world government. Even if you are the celestial dragons, you cannot directly attack me. Aren't you afraid of punishment from heaven? Hearing Ivan still say this, Spangdane also changed his face at the speed of light again, and even began to threaten. The speed of his face change was jaw-dropping. But it's understandable. After all, it's about your own life. If you don't do anything else at this time, you'll just move your head. As this punishment from heaven? Yes. If you kill me, you will definitely be punished by the people above, right? So you. Seeing Ivan murmuring to himself, Spangdane's face also showed excitement, and he encouraged it harder. Okay, then let me give you the sanction of God from heaven. It's a pity that the more he behaves like this, the more unhappy Ivan becomes with him. Ivan silently raised his right hand, and soon the originally clear sky was suddenly covered with dark clouds, and blue lightning flashed through the clouds from time to time. What's happening here?